Hi there, Gary. I don't think I've forgot about your massive selection of DVDs and Blu-rays, etc. Mainly Blu-rays, of course. I think that's something worth mentioning in a little while once I've just finished up. Put that down for a minute here. It's time to make some coffee. Yeah, I've not even looked at those selections that you sent on the photos in the chat, so I'll just have to go to those in a second and then we can have a look, because I don't think there's a mass quantity of things to be talking about tonight, especially if it's only going to be me on here. Good evening as well to Dan Peake. How are you doing, good sir? How are you doing, Gary? Don't know what's happening on Facebook now. It's very difficult for me to keep up with these things. But anyway, let's discuss stuff. That's right. Massive, massive quantities, says First Last. Hello there to Gloria Stitz. Greetings. How are you doing as well, First Last? Please tell me any topics you want to hear discussed, and also, anything you've been watching, all that kind of stuff, predictable. Gloria says, let's go balls deep into stuff, please. Yeah, I mean, that's inevitable, really, on this show, I think. James, do you prefer Heinz or Bramwell baked beans? I don't really prefer either. I don't have any particular opinion on baked beans, because the only real big difference is the amount of sugar added and things like these. I mean, I bought these ones, they're only 40p at the co-op. Whereas in the co-op, they've got Heinz for about £1.20 or something, which seems ridiculous, frankly. For a can of baked beans, £1.20. But that's, that's the convenience-sized co-op for you. Crazy. I mean, it makes me crazy. Bramwell's. I've never even heard of Bramwell's. I think I've heard of HP beans, or there's ones made by Aldi and Lidl. There's some particularly nice beans from Aldi. I think that the guy did that Fontaine sketch, comedy sketch, where he's talking about beans for some reason. I can't remember what kind they are, but they're basically just an Aldi own version. Bramwell's are. Maybe he was talking about the little ones then, I don't know. Well, I'll just say I think you should get some co-op own beans, really. Yeah. So, First Last says American baked beans for breakfast is strange enough, but now those other guys have ketchup beans. I don't know anything about that. I mean, I'm just taking care not to hit the water here because I'm a very sociable kind of guy who likes to be pleasant. Phantom Cooper, I will say, I think Johnny is actually online. I will send him a link if he wants to come on for a bit. Look at this here, what I've got. So you see that? It's called skin food. It's pink. It's got a very artificial smell to it, to be honest, but it's not bad for as a. It's probably better than Mandate. Well, I wouldn't say that Phantom Cooper. I don't think he's a sneak. It's more a case of him just. I mean, you don't know what people are doing, and why they might. If you could hear that, that's probably Johnny ringing me now. So this really is the height of professionalism. I mean, if this was a work call for somebody or a professional kind of work meeting situation where I'd been invited to direct a short film or something, I think it would have been going well so far, to be honest. It's my aim this year to make a short film based on the ideas of the Amityville movies. I've only seen really some of the third one and the first two, but I think that's more than enough. So, in terms of my favourite Julia Roberts movie, honestly, I don't really have any favourites in her whole roster of films. Possibly, I remember one of her first films, Mystic Pizza, being good, but was she in Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson? I mean, I don't know. That's not necessarily the best film ever made, but it's very entertaining. Another Richard Donner film, as usual. No idea. I don't. Honestly, I don't really have much to say about Julia Roberts. So, Yeah, I'll just say now, please try and leave more um, just kind of more pleasant comments with regards to Voltaire. It's nothing to do with the kind of situation you're talking about where Voltaire is being maleficent or anything like that. Okay, well, I'm nearly ready. I'll go into the other room in a second. Shout out to Hannah in Poland. I hope she doesn't mind me giving a shout out. I would just like to recommend this cologne. You can't really see it at all under this kind of lighting situation, but Aspen. You can see that a bit better there, maybe. Not really. Aspen. That's a kind of an eau de cologne. And it says it on it. It will give you crisp mountain air and wide open spaces captured in a distinctive fragrance for men. Aspen cologne for men. Live it in Aspen. The light distorts my face. Yeah, well, it's probably for the better, isn't it? Let's face it. Aspen is produced by Coty, who are a company based in Paris, Kent, and in the UK, and Coty, New York. But this is made in the USA. I would describe it as smelling like somebody's come in and like fumigated your whole room with with the most sort of slightly offensive smelling air freshener as well. And it's like, and I was thinking this has got to be a good thing to buy for me, a bit more of a fresh smell. And then I bought it and I'm just thinking this is just like the worst purchase I've ever made, nearly. It doesn't even have that certain quality that Mandate has, which recalls the 70s or something. I don't know what this recalls other than just it smells like somebody's come in and done some kind of heavy duty cleaning on your carpet and then they're still damp. It's like that kind of smell. So yeah, not of that good smell, to be honest. Have I seen MI7? I mean, okay, it's called Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, right? It's not called Mission Impossible 7. I'm not correcting you in any way, Dan, don't worry. I mean, maybe Lynch will go and see it because 7 is a lucky number for him. But I certainly don't have any problems with going to see it. But if I do, it won't be for another week. Because I want to ask my mum to go and see it because she seemed quite keen. And I thought it would be, a good laugh for her, maybe. The only problem is she asked, is it over 2 hours? So I might have to just lie and say, yes, it's 2 hours. And then, maybe she'll have been in there a bit too long. And hopefully just not get really angry and start smashing the cinema up or something. I'll try and drink this in a kind of civilized manner, so please leave any more comments. I'll stop saying as well. Do I remember that song that went, I'm in a wide open space, Monkey Island asked? Of course I do. That's by Manson. Came out in about 1997. And their first album was a sort of inspired in certain ways by The Prisoner, Doctor Who, other things of that nature.
Hey James, how's it going?
As you can see, I'm just still in the kitchen. And
Yeah,
how are you doing?
not too bad today. Pretty miserable day outside. Really rainy, but other than that, not too bad.
Okay, Twin Peaks weather. It's,
Twin Peaks weather, yes.
it's the kind of weather where you need to spray yourself in aspirin.
Yeah,
This,
nice.
yeah, but I ended up paying £20 for this, and then I
Ooh,
realised I don't like it. It's like
is it too musky or is it too overpowering?
it just smells like like I was saying earlier, like your carpets have been disinfected and given a
Uh,
deep clean, and then they've left the carpets wet still.
I know exactly what you're
And
talking
it
about. Yeah,
smells like this sort of antiseptic
yeah.
air freshener sort of. It smells basically like that. Um,
Almost too chemical smelling too, right? You want more of a
yeah, very
natural.
chemical.
Yeah.
It smells like something that's called not Paco Rabanne, something like Blue Stratos, or I can't
Mm.
remember what the name is. Something
Hmm.
of that kind. It's one of these ones that are supposed to smell fresh. Well, I don't even want to discuss it because it's making me too angry at this moment. Even
Oh, for
thinking
sure. I get
it's,
that. Some of the best perfumes are the ones that are not abrasive or not too overly powerful. They're kind of just there. Those are the best perfumes.
well, thanks. Yeah, no, I agree. I also thank you, Monkey Island, for recommending Zeno by Davidoff.
Oh,
Oh, I mean, it sounds like it just makes me think of sort of
David Hasselhoff or something. David
or like the
Hasselhoff.
Fonz somehow for some reason. Probably from obviously the Z, but uh, not ZZ Top though. But
No, no, yeah.
like in Twin Peaks: The Return, yeah. But
I
at the
suppose
start, they do have two Z's on the cups when they come through, Tracy and Sam.
they do. Yeah. At first, I thought there were two sevens, but then yeah, they're two Z's. Yeah.
No, it was more just Lynch basically likes putting in uh, kind of he just like do you like ZZ Top? I like him like that. That's the
Just a quick little shout out. No worries. Thank you everybody for showing up today to Coffee Time. How's it going, Gary, Dan, Monkey Island, Phantom Cooper? Who else is in the chat? First, last, Gloria. Good to see everybody today.
What are you doing, Johnny? You sound like you're taking over the show.
I'm just giving a shout out to everybody in the chat.
Okay, no worries. That's acceptable. I didn't even think I was going to go on today, but I always get this kind of urge at a certain hour.
Yeah,
I
get
don't
that
mean,
too.
for masturbating or something.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean because sometimes I'll be like, you know what, let me just check YouTube and I'll be, oh, there's James on. I'll get that same feeling of wanting to come on, you know?
Yeah, it's important not to sort of relate to any of it in a personal way with online things like this
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with talking about personal things either, like I've done in the past, but I think everyone has, on here, but sometimes you have to sort of balance it out. But, in terms of the people that we know and whether they're going to come on or not, it's difficult, really.
Yeah, I tried to call a few people that you mentioned just to see if they can come on, but no luck today.
Let me just change my settings because I bought a new laptop because my other one just decided to literally like disassemble itself.
Like Transformer style.
Asus,
You come in one day.
Asus laptop disassemble. Like
Disassemble, yeah.
nearly 3 years old. That's it.
Wow.
Finished.
Really?
Yeah, but I mean, I would have used it like every day.
True. Put in like a lifetime.
Basically, just looking at babes in Nigeria, and it's just solid.
Nice.
It's like one sleep every day or something. 1 hour sleep every day.
If that, yeah.
Yeah, if that really. Just addicted.
Yeah.
just I mean, it's hard to not use some of the things that Voltaire said when he was on here, and I would say that's offensive. Like, but I am addicted to African ass, and no, I'm not really.
So I kind of zoned out for a second.
I'm not.
What are you addicted to?
No, honestly, like the reason I went to Africa, for instance, and that kind of thing,
Which is very cool.
Just talk about that for a moment. It was more of just like a mind expansion, because I heard from reading different things and stuff, just the idea of going to such a different place would be, and it was most definitely not like some kind of romantic experience or anything of that sort. It was, especially.
Cool. Very cool.
Especially having met somebody there, and now she's no longer even around. She's sadly deceased. Oh. It's like it is quite. I mean, it was a bit more than I bargained for, to be honest.
Yeah, well, that's life. You jump in, you go in, you buy the ticket, take the ride, type of thing. You never know what's going to happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's more a case of just like sometimes I sometimes think maybe I'd would have been better not going. So.
Yeah, I know that feeling too. Yeah, it's better not to have than to have, that type of thing. But I think in the end, it's better to have done the thing, because then you've gotten those life experiences you can look back on, reflect.
Yeah, I mean, it's inevitable. Like if you go to some place and it's sort of a risky venture, then to not expect something along those lines, where something risky could happen, then. I'm not making a comment, obviously, about risky business starring Tom Cruise, just because earlier they were talking about Mission Impossible 7, and I was correcting. I think Dan Peake was saying, Mission Impossible 7. Obviously, it's not called that. It's called Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 7. And then the next parts of that are being shown in reverse, not literally but in reverse sequence. So by the time you get back to the first one, it's like, whoa, I didn't think it would start like that.
Yeah. And yes, Phantom Cooper, I'm very excited for the Barbie movie. Very excited.
Like, I can't believe that this next one has got a scene of Tom Cruise on a bike, and then he goes flying off a cliff, and then he lets go of the bike, and then he's got a parachute on. I mean, this is amazing. It's just like, come on, like, how do they really expect people to be watching these things like behind the stunts? And they'll show you exactly how the whole stunt's done. And I'm just thinking, what is the point going to see it now?
Yeah,
they showed it. They're using like this kind of, like a wooden roller coaster construction, and then they put in like as if he's going off the edge of a cliff, because obviously Tom Cruise didn't literally ride a bike off the edge of a cliff.
True. Yeah.
I mean, you think it's just like, don't show everything.
I agree. Yeah,
as promo, like keep something secret until like the DVD comes out, the Blu-ray and all that.
Hey James, not to sound like a dick, but your microphone's acting up. It's going like loud and quiet and distorted, and
Oh no. Well, it's probably because I changed it once I'd already come on the show or something. I don't know.
Yeah, just to give you, I just don't want the.
Or it could be the new.
You being the host, you got to sound at your best, So.
How about now?
Keep talking. Oh yeah, see, even Gary said it was muffled before.
Oh, it was clicked on automatically adjust mic volume. So, how does it sound now?
Oh, really good, clear, perfect. Yeah,
but not too high, not too loud. I mean,
if I were you, I'd probably go down just a couple notches, but it's perfect. It's absolutely stable, and it sounds
okay. Clear. I'm on 119 now, so
nice. Sounds great.
I'm really happy to get all of the suggestions for fragrances in the chat right now. That's really good.
Mm-hmm. You had your other friend Tim who used to come on. He knew his stuff about fragrances. I remember. I remember seeing an episode where he knew a lot about perfume.
Yes, he did actually. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's me telling people too much, but I couldn't even find him on my Facebook today looking.
So
Yeah, I didn't. I used to be on mine too. I don't. Maybe he's just off Facebook.
yeah, I didn't think it was like particularly, a personal thing, like as I was saying earlier, but just makes you wonder, doesn't it? So
Yeah, it does. Yeah, like why or what's happening. Yeah. No,
if I was to just go off Facebook, I mean, obviously you can't tell everybody on there, but the people I communicate with, I'd tell them I'm going off or something. So
yeah, I agree with that for sure. Because then
But-
you're just left in the dark.
but it's up to him. It's not like I'm dictating to him how to live his life.
Oh no.
that sounds ridiculous. No, I mean, I think it's like, for instance, when I have conversations with Davrin, who's still blocked in the chat, but I just respect like he's how he is. Like, I can't
He's
change
very
that.
consistent. Yeah, he's very consistent.
Well, yeah, but the consistency of it, that's
is-
that's in and of itself what
yeah,
drives me a bit nuts.
exactly. I agree. It's a catch
Because
22.
it's
something.
kind of like just somebody badgering you non-stop,
Mhm.
It's sort of very mechanized almost.
Yeah, and again, I've gone on record saying if he didn't do that and just focused on movie suggestions, he'd be one of the best in the chat just for giving suggestions and just if he took away the drama.
Well, yeah, it's just social awkwardness, obviously,
Yeah,
because some people use, they come to coffee time and they see me on it and they think he's a great example of how to be, and
Mhm.
and that's how Davrin, looks at me. He's like,
Mhm.
I want to be that guy.
Exactly. Yeah, he's got your poster
And
on his wall.
I think he actually saw Cameron like that as well. So
His
he wanted
admiration.
to be Cameron.
Super fan.
He's not a super fan, but he's, I will tell him that I'm live now and I'm discussing him. So
Mhm. Just give him a heads up.
his last message was, and you were trying to get me to assassinate Cameron.
Whoa. Okay. Wow.
It's literally what he said. I'm not lying.
No, I believe it. Yeah.
I can't make these things up and then present
No.
it as if it's like my invention, because I'm just, my acting is so transparent, I think. So as you can see, I put some posts today for Voltaire, but they don't seem to have any real,
No.
reaction.
I tried, like I said, I gave a call, but no one answered.
No, I mean, he's obviously just involved in other things. It's not personal. So,
I even gave Mandela Man a call too, but I don't think he's around either.
Well, I actually was quite surprised because I was looking at a Google Maps type of thing where, they go along the road with those vans, don't they, usually, or cars?
Yeah.
And they take sort of photos from every angle.
Mm-hmm.
and construct these street views. And I saw one, and it was actually in the area of Chicago where Mandela Man lives. And what was funny was sometimes you can go through different years, like just by moving 10 meters on these, because sometimes they sort of take a certain area, update it to a certain point, and it's taken in 2023. But then another part of the area is still in 2016. And I happened upon the shot, and I was like, that's Mandela Man in that one. And it said actually 2016.
Oh wow!
And then I went along with just literally a few yards, and he's still on the pavement in exactly the same position.
Oh my god!
But it was 2023.
No
when the van went along in that year,
For real.
and he was like holding in his hand, a small container of apple juice. It's just, like when he went to see Super Mario, and
yeah,
and he had a very small like kind of bag of something in his pocket on his shirt. They looked like mushrooms, possibly. So I don't know what the hell was happening there, but yes. Yeah, just jump in the chat, anybody, if you want to give us any more top tips for films and stuff. The Barbie movie is coming out on the 21st, right? And then Oppenheimer is also on the 21st. That's why some people who are just totally hilarious have decided to make T-shirts saying Barbenheimer, and I actually have reported them all. I reported all of those T-shirts for copyright infringement. So, I don't think it's funny. And, the people who actually have already bought the T-shirts, I hope they're visited by the feds anytime soon. So, because of me, it's so,
do you think that Oppenheimer movie is going to do good? To me, it just looks like a glorified documentary. It's like, why would I go into the theater to see this?
Well, no, I don't think it's going to perform even like Tenet necessarily, but I think it will. It's probably going to go for a different kind of audience from that. It's going to be probably an older audience.
What would be the twist? What would be the antagonist, protagonist? It's you're literally watching a documentary of the first.
No, it's not actually. It is more than a documentary because of the way in which Nolan has filmed it and the people in it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's going to be probably, you're sort of saying it's going to be tedious or like too long-winded or something like this. But I think you pretty much know what you're signing up for with it when you go and see it. And it is being released in full IMAX. I mean, that would be the ideal way to see it. But I think you should just go along and view it and think just try and imagine, how would this be if Lynch had made it?
Yeah, true, very true.
I think it'll be an interesting film in its own way, but I don't think it's going to appeal sort of to the same people who went to see Inception or something. But
yeah, exactly.
but honestly, like, was Inception really that good? I mean, I don't know. I never really particularly liked it. It's like, well, I didn't really get it. I mean, yeah, okay, streets bending up and curving back on each other. It's an amazing special effect even now, but
yeah,
I just found there's no story really. It's just like, it keeps introducing characters throughout it, a bit in the same way Tenet did, really.
Yeah.
But Tenet as well, what is the story?
Again, yeah, I know. He gets so convoluted in his concepts that you get lost in the concept and you lose the plot of whatever you're following. They're basically just concept-driven movies. Like, here's the concept, we can go backwards, or here's the concept, we can go a dream within a dream within a dream. Boom, that's his movie, and then he just makes and then you can make whatever you want out of it. When you watch it.
No, I mean, I admit, like, for instance, I don't know exactly how long Oppenheimer is, but it's probably getting on for 3 hours. And I think you've got to see the film to really make your own mind up on it. Like, for instance, is Florence Pugh in the film hardly, or is she, like, literally in it for as long as the trailer gives over, like, which is literally seconds? I mean, I don't really understand what the trailer exactly is trying to sell. Is it going to be about the explosions and all that side of things? Or is it going to be sort of understanding the characters like Oppenheimer and his obsession with this kind of thing, we don't even really, I don't really understand the nature of what they're doing. But I mean, is it going to feature, for instance, in any way, shape or form, Jack Parsons? I mean, if people had him in it, that people would be interested, I think. I mean,
very much so, yeah.
Not obviously like dominating the entire thing, but he should be in it at least, say, for 10 minutes, I would say. I mean, I mean, he could easily be more, but yeah, I mean, some people might think the film just looks too sort of like dull or something, but I really don't know unless I've seen it. That's the thing.
I know, yeah.
It's Nolan, and after all, he's shot the whole thing on film, and there's no CGI in it. It's all practical effects. So it is interesting from that point of view, like people like Josh, they'll be there like in the real cinema in Morecambe, sort of on the front row, like, oh my God, how did they do this through practical effects? And, like, how do you do that? How do you build a massive, the big explosions and stuff? I mean, obviously we can build things that there's fire and all that, but the cloud bit, that's not like CGI, like in The Return, for instance.
Oh, wow,
it's real. But they kind of made models as well, and then somehow I've seen a bit of behind the scenes, but without wanting to ruin it or anything, and for myself. It looks interesting. I mean, I think the Oppenheimer character is probably going to be a big factor in making people go or not. I.e., if people were fans of, say, Peaky Blinders, then they might go and see it because it's still Cillian Murphy, and
Yeah, he's
but
a good actor. Yeah.
But obviously, it's not. It's not going to be about people in that kind of same dramatic sense as Peaky Blinders, for instance. So I would give it a chance for sure.
True. Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, I know, for instance, that the Exorcist Believer trailer is coming on before it. It's premiering then, so I would almost go and see Oppenheimer with that in mind. That's how that's my level of film appreciation, which is sort of probably a bit odd, really. Because I don't think there's that many people that are all that bothered about Exorcist Believer beyond people who really like Exorcist 2 The Heretic, because I'm fully ready for the film to just be
just
laughably stupid or just people are going, oh no, this is just but the thing is that the Conjuring film, I didn't know this, the Conjuring films are actually the biggest money spinning films for horror at the moment, and all the Conjuring universe.
Really? Like the most production put into the movies, you mean? Like,
no, I mean in terms of the box office.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because they're not exactly, they don't cost that much to make them, but the box office for the Conjuring films has been pretty immense. And then there's other ones connected to them, aren't there? The Insidious films are connected, I believe. I mean, the Annabelle films are, the Nun as well. So
yeah, because they have their split universe or whatever extended.
I don't know exactly about Insidious. Honestly, I've not really got any major interest in those films because whilst they might scare some people, like Voltaire seems to think that they're scary. For me, they're not. But The Exorcist, sort of, those films I find at least interesting. They create a mood. Even Exorcist 2, honestly. But I mean, The Exorcist 3 certainly does. And then after that, really, it's just like a diminishing returns. Exorcist the beginning, and then Exorcist Dominion, which is the original version of that, are just feel like half-finished films or something.
It's like the Hellraiser films, By the time you get to the 10th one, it's like, what are you guys doing? This is Hellraiser 10. What is happening?
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that this new Exorcist film will be worse than, say, Exorcist the Beginning, because that was just like they brought in Rennie Harlin to direct that. Harlin, who made Cliffhanger, and it was just
really wow.
It was just ridiculous. It just wasn't.
Yeah, the tone was off. Now it makes sense because
it was straight to video level, kind of almost making it into like some kind of action film.
Yeah,
but it's not particularly no real mood and that kind of thing. But yeah.
I agree with Phantom Cooper. Nolan just makes Oscar bait pretty much now. Yeah, because every time the movie comes out, it's never really about the movie. It's about him putting out a film. You know what I mean? It gets overlooked about what the actual film is.
Well, I think, for instance, the Nolan is kind of a very much like a tent pole director, ever since pretty much after really Batman Begins, he became that, didn't he?
Yeah, all of a sudden, yeah.
Like Batman Begins he was known for that, but then, basically The Dark Knight, that's what really carved him in stone as like this big director, because The Dark Knight was very
it's very well directed, yeah,
sort of like overbearing as a film in a way, but it pretty much matches the kind of film it is at the same time. So but I don't know. I mean, I think he's a good director for sure, but his films, I don't think like people should be able to only enjoy Oppenheimer as basically a spectacle or as some kind of atmosphere thing. And that was my only problem I had with Tenet, for instance. It was sort of a bit too
Yeah.
It just seemed lacking in any kind of anything to sort of hold on to.
And it's because the
Character-wise.
main actor was literally just called protagonist. He didn't even have a name, right, for Tenet?
No, I mean, I think I'm going to have to ask Gary where you sent those pictures. Did you send them to me personally, or did you send them into this? Oh yeah, they're in. Sorry, you sent them to me. He brought a bunch of DVDs basically, and it's just sent me pictures of them, so I'll show them in a minute. But
nice.
There's some pretty good ones. Yeah, sorry, I was looking in the coffee time chat and getting a bit mixed up. Sorry, I interrupted. So, what were we talking about? Nolan still? Or...
Yeah, we're still finished up on Nolan. Yeah, I do agree with Phantom Cooper's comments. You know, there is kind of this there is kind of a lack of humanity and kind of almost like a paint by numbers almost. It's just like what you're gonna get with his films. It's odd. I don't know, because he's such a he is an amazing director, but his films, it seems like he's lacking in certain aspects. Like, I don't know, script.
Yeah, there's a certain sort of slickness to them rather than like people compare him. They try and say, he's like the new Kubrick or something, but
no,
I think that's kind of stretching things a bit in terms of, I think he's his own director, and his style isn't really that similar to Kubrick at all. I mean,
not at all. Yeah,
it's far more sort of just very wide screen, based around sort of big special effects and big set pieces. So, I mean, obviously, Oppenheimer won't be any different to that, apart from the fact that it's not going to be action based in the same way as, say, Tenet was.
True,
but that's not a problem for me. I just think it will appeal to a largely older audience, and that's pretty important as well nowadays. Where, for instance, I don't think the older audience will be turning out that much, or not in sort of droves, for this new Mission Impossible. And its debut in the box office, the first 3 days of release and stuff, was not at the level they were hoping for. It was underperforming. So,
wow.
I mean, this will probably pick up, but I think, considering the amount of promo that's been done for it, it's not going to be the new Top Gun Maverick. I mean, obviously, but it'll do okay. But
Yeah, you're right. Because they've been pushing it hard. Because every other commercial on TV is the trailer for that movie.
Yeah, it's over publicized. But the thing is, like, I think really they need to get back to the drawing board a bit more in terms of with films in Hollywood, and sort of come up with some, if not necessarily brand new ideas, at least just try and mix them up a bit, and not everything be based around franchises, familiar stories we've seen before. I mean, basically, each Mission Impossible film is the same film, just made again, really, isn't it? Like,
exactly, yeah.
These new ones are a bit more... They're pretty well made. I'll give them that, definitely. Like, I can't remember, Rogue Nation was particularly good, I think. But they really are, just not kind of coming up with something brand new.
No, exactly.
No, unless you think seeing a train fly off of a cliff is new, But but it's not really. It's going back to like the earliest stunts done in films.
Yeah,
really. And so you just have to mind me. I'm just having a delicious protein chocolate flavor pudding.
Oh, nice. Very nice. I'm sure Davin would enjoy watching you eat that.
No, that's what I told him. I said I'd unblocked him and stuff, but he doesn't seem to fuss, so quite a letdown, really. After all these times, building up.
Yeah.
And he made comments about my skillet the other day, so...
Really? He didn't like how you made it, or he had some...
No, it's like a pan.
Oh, the skillet. Oh,
the orange one, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a bit behind on the chats now, so... Google Maps shows alternate realities at the same time. That's what I thought, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll dual reality.
Yeah, it probably is a rip-off of episode 8 of The Return, I think.
Oh yeah, you probably get more
in terms of
you
the
get
time
way
frame
more.
and everything.
Yeah, I'd rather watch episode 8 than not whatever. My God.
I mean, it's funny because they did an interview with Lynch several days ago, and he said, "Are you going to watch Oppenheimer?" And he said, "No, that's a load of shit." Ripping off my episode of The Return where I had the bomb, and then he did like this kind of this sign like this. Said Nolan's a wanker, basically.
He's a wanker.
It was like with Dune. He refused to watch the new one.
Wow.
He actually called Villeneuve. He said Villeneuve is a twat. No, I think he's taking it too. He's too personal, like in that sense. What he's because it's not like the director is entirely responsible for everything about the film.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's the tiresome thing with Nolan. Perhaps it's like there's this tendency, especially I suppose from Warner Brothers, and it's not just his own doing, is it? But he's sort of like the auteur, the sort of I'm in charge of everything kind of director. But
yeah,
he's not. I mean, he's definitely not Kubrick in that sense.
Well, he's got
not that what Kubrick did was like healthy, like making people do 70 takes or something. But I mean, that's a bit excessive.
Or making them watch Eraserhead on repeat while they were filming The Shining.
Yeah, well, like 70 takes of someone actually, in the shitter. It's
you got to get it.
And
right.
then he's actually making them do a real shit every time. That's like that happened during Eyes Wide Shut when they were filming Nicole Kidman. He said, "Nicole, come on. I want to hear it hitting the water in the toilet." And she says, "Can't you just like a fake bit of poo coming out or something?" He says, "No, I'm a proper director, all right.
This has got to be done right."
People think I'm brilliant because I did that film 2001. Heard of it?
Heard of it? Yeah.
She's like, "I've never actually watched it. I've watched 2010. What? 2010? Fucking hell!
How dare you?
Sorry, it was the only one in the video shop when I went to get it rental it on VHS. Yeah, I remember actually, going to see 2010 at our cinema, and like people were interested in the film somewhat. It was a matinee though, and they were sort of showing it, and so there was just like kids in there mainly, like me. And it came on, and it was all squashed. It was obviously it's a widescreen film, somewhat, but it had to be sort of
fit to the screen, right? Or
unsquashed, basically. Yeah. And we were watching the film thinking, what the hell's going on? It was just Roy Schneider on these massive satellite dishes, but it was all squashed. And then someone was shouting like, "It's all squashed." So interesting experience, really, seeing that film as a youngster.
For sure.
It's it's honestly quite a good film, 2010, but it's not the same as as 2001, obviously.
Yeah.
It's quite just escapist and kind of just entertainment, really. But it does have a really nice scene where it's got Mary Deschanel, who played Donna's mum in Twin Peaks, and she's like the wife talking to.
Is she? Oh wow.
Talking to the guy, who was from the first 2001, and it's almost a strange moment in the film, and it's kind of like a bit Twin Peaksy in a way when you watch it back somehow. I don't know, just particularly like with the main character in Dave Bowman, how he looks, especially in the first film.
Yeah,
it's quite Cooper-esque, I think.
Cooper, and then the third season, right? Like, would you say that? Like, kind of he was lost, that type of, or?
No, I mean just quite literally, just the hair and everything.
Oh, just the look, the little look, yeah. Have you spoken to Mandela Man at all? He's been off Facebook for a couple of weeks now. I hope he's all right.
Well, he sent things in the chat.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I must have missed that then.
I don't know.
I heard they had some crazy weather in his area, so I was just wondering. Hopefully, everything's okay. Some tornado.
One of it was about UFOs. So,
oh, okay.
You thinking he may have gone in a twister like the Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, he's in the land of Oz right now.
Just thinking about
that's a funny thought.
Thinking about Nicole Kidman on the toilet now. Just this is particularly thick though. This dessert, I say. I think there's a shot of her on the toilet in that film.
I think so.
Because Kubrick often has shots of people on toilets. I don't know why.
Maybe it creates a sense of like normality, you know, like what everyone does, you know, or something. I don't know. Because it's stuff you wouldn't see normally on film, I guess. Maybe. There must be something.
No, I think he was actually quite interested in different kinds of toilets and liked to feature different ones in his films. And sometimes he would have little Easter eggs in his films, like there's a shot in The Shining where Jack Torrance is on the toilet and you can see like one ball hanging out.
Okay.
And there's been many interpretations of what that means in terms of the...
Yeah, why just the one?
I'm just going to have to close my window because there's people talking out there, and they're really.
I was going to say, what's
really,
that sound?
They're ruining the whole thing.
They are. It sounds interesting. Sounds like they're literally in his house.
They saw me in my orange shorts. I'm just standing looking like with open eyes.
Did they just point and then the mouth went open and started screaming?
Yeah, like an Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah, exactly. That would actually be terrifying. If you're just walking one day, someone just stops, just starts pointing and starts screaming at you. God.
Gary, I've not tried the nomadic vanilla, but I would like to.
Vanilla's always good.
I'll just have to finish this one. Did you watch anything new this week?
No, just I've just been watching some of the. We're going through the classic Hellraiser films. I started right from the first one. I'm at like number 4 or 5 right now. I can't remember. They get so bad by every time you go down. But like the first 2 are good. They're really good. And then 3 starts to lose, and then 4, and then 5. By the time you get to 10, you're just like, what are we doing?
I mean, even the second one is a little bit more sort of Hollywoodized, isn't it?
Yeah, the first one is really my favorite. The first one, but
it's still good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it took quite a brisk sort of swerve into becoming something else with the third one, where it's sort of, I don't know, like the monsters are out in the streets and stuff, or in a like inside a massive church or cathedral.
Yeah.
You know, he's doing the kind of sacrilegious pose, and I mean, it's all a bit ridiculous. It's like they're always sort of on the edge of going into something offensive, especially in the first one, and that's probably when they were at their best in a way.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
they toned it down a bit, I think, deliberately to appeal to a wider audience, probably. Because the first one would be sort of teetering on the edge of becoming like rated an NC-17 or something. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they may have cut some of it a bit, but
it's
more just the tone of it. I mean, it is bloody and everything, but it's sort of just unsettling.
Very much so.
Whereas the second one goes into sort of goes straight into a far more of a Elm Street kind of feel.
Very much so. Yeah.
Because it's got like the female actress from the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But, although there were other people in it, weren't there? But then it's got this other girl, like a blonde younger one.
Yeah.
And it's very, well, it's more based around them going into this kind of whole dream world, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rather than it being based around that house from the first one or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't even feature in it. So as far as if it does feature, it's not hardly. So
it's funny. Henry Cavill's in like number 7 or 8. There's I can't remember which one. But...
There was one that was filmed in Romania, which Cameron at one point recommended to me. I don't know if it's because he knew I had a Romanian girlfriend around that time, but I was like, I put it on and I was just like, this is obviously just Cameron joking now, because this is not like, I don't know, but it's like when a film is made in Romania, there's always like some dodgy tax reason, or it's a Steven Seagal production.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very cheap to film there.
He's definitely made a couple of films at least in Bucharest or somewhere around there, and it's always like him. He's got a flat or something, or got an apartment, and then it's next door to this woman, quite young. But then there's this one scene in one I've seen, like, and I wasn't watching the film. I was watching someone talking about the film on YouTube, and he's like, there's this scene where he goes, "Oh, so is that your son or something like that?" And she goes, and she looks at him and goes, "No, it's my nephew." So he's like, this man about 65 or something, eyeing up a woman who's about maybe 30, and then he's basically thinking, "So you're not giving birth, you're intact." It's literally like that. It's just like, oh my God. Like, can we just stop the pretense of like Seagal still being like 35 or something? I mean,
I know.
It's not like he was even ever 35 in films properly anyway. Well, when he was like balding, and then he just suddenly appeared with like this massive black triangle on his head.
Yeah.
It's just insane. He's like a kind of parody of himself.
Yeah, there's this great YouTube channel that just breaks down his movies all the time. It's so funny.
There's just too many to even
there's way
consider.
Too many. Yeah, I know.
I think those films, basically, the only way they make money is through selling to people in supermarkets on DVDs and
it's got
online as well.
Yeah, like, oh my God,
online sales somehow, but I can't imagine there's that many people like, oh, there's a new Seagal film, I've got to pay $4.99 to watch this. It's brilliant. It's going to be him basically nearing 70. Not there's anything wrong with that, but like,
he puts the least amount of effort in it. It's hilarious.
It's like, it looks like he's just had like 3 Chinese dinners in a row, and he's like wants to go to sleep, and then they're like, okay, just hold the gun in this scene, and he'll be like holding it in the most weird way imaginable.
Oh, it's even
whilst always seated.
Yeah, always. It's even funnier because they'll have scenes where he'll walk. You see it's him, and then he'll go up the stairs, and then you see it's a stunt man. The amount of times they switch between him and the stunt
man for going up the stairs.
For going up the stairs, he doesn't even do shots.
That's pretty pathetic.
It's so funny.
Yeah, Seagal is a very unusual person, I think.
Phantom Seagal is not an MMA legend. The type of fighting style he has is such a hilarious style. You have to basically run at him and go with what he does. It's a weird type of fighting style. It's not even a real legit fighting style. I've seen Rogan break it down. It's like you run at him, he'll grab your arm and just trip you, but you have to kind of allow him to do it for it to work. It's like fake. It's almost like wrestling. This type of fighting style.
Well, it's like basically like somebody's coming at you with their arm stuck out.
Yeah, waving.
Like, why would they be doing that?
With
one of their fingers ready for you to bend backwards so that you can then flip them over backwards behind you because you broke their finger. So therefore they're in pain, agonizing pain. But obviously he doesn't do that. This shots of where he was doing it at some kind of exhibition of martial arts. I
saw that. Stuff. Yeah.
There were girls like in the background up on the sort of side laughing and stuff because it was just so pathetic.
It's just one guy charging, getting thrown, another guy getting thrown, but he's barely doing anything. He's just doing like this waving thing with his arm, and the guy just flies. It flies, just throws him.
Well, they can't afford to start making like real contact with each other in case anything goes wrong. So it's especially like in case Seagal is injured in some way, which could happen very easily, I imagine.
I know.
That's why he's got people, stand-ins going up her stairs for him. Because I mean, he's basically like, oh no, man, just imagine if I tripped upon those stairs and went. My limber frame just came smashing down. And, I know the moves, but I don't know if I fell on somebody, they would be squashed like a pancake. So, they would be squashed.
Phantom Cooper with the best comments. Seagal uses his chi to manipulate his opponents. I'm pretty sure he does.
Well, no, he is actually a skilled musician. And there's a whole video about him doing that, made by...
He's ended movies with himself playing his music.
Oh, yeah, well, this is just like...
You can be more self-indulgent than that. Like, I'm the star of the movie. I have the musical at the end.
His name, he literally has a name. Mm-hmm. Mojo Priest.
Really? That's hilarious. Oh
it's one album. It's called Mojo Priest. It's got like... It's like even the songs on the album, you just think, what is this? Is this taking the piss or is this serious? There's songs like She Dat Pretty, Red Rooster, that's acceptable, Gunfire in a Juke Joint, My Time Is Numbered, that's true, it is Seagal, Dark Angel, Alligator Ass, followed by Talk to My Ass.
Oh, followed by Talk to
Love
My
Doctor.
Ass. And then
they're all covers. Like Talk to My Ass is an actual proper song that somebody wrote.
Are you serious? Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's a very good blues song. Yeah.
Was it featured in I Spit on Your Grave?
I don't know, but there's like Dust My Broom. And then
come on, Dust My Broom.
That's one of the songs on it, yeah.
I'll
show you this video.
I just in season 3 when the guy's brooming. Dust My Broom.
Oh yeah. That was They should have had Seagal in that.
Oh my God. Could you imagine just for one shot? They're in the bar. He's just there. I couldn't handle that. That'd be too much. I'd be like, okay, Lynch, you've crossed the line there.
Sizemore was in it. I mean, it would be...
True.
I don't think Seagal would have the sense of humor to be able to do it, though, unfortunately. This is a 4-minute documentary, actually, now about Seagal's career as a musician, which he actually says he prefers being, a musician to acting. So
I'm sure he's more of a legit.
No, he does on this video. He says that
he is an actor. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
For lovers of architecture and decadent flavors. If you want, you could be sipping espresso by tomorrow morning and napping.
Isn't that what's her name talking?
I'll be waiting at
Monica Bellucci.
.com.
I was wondering if that was Monica Bellucci, but I don't think so.
Everybody knows I'm here. Everybody knows it's here. I'm your Gucci
All these songs are the same.
I'm your Gucci man. I'm your Gucci man.
Howl a Wolf, Muddy Waters, Lightning Hawking, Mojo Priest. I never picked up a guitar to try to make myself noble or other people noble. I just love it.
He doesn't even play it right.
Silver moon, silver moon,
Good music.
silver moon, silver moon, silver moon, silver moon.
That's how every blues song is.
Silver moon, silver moon.
Oh my God. This is very legit.
Man, I hate to say it because it's mine. It's, for me, the best blues album I've heard so far. What they called me was blessed, somebody who's blessed to play the blues.
Oh, that picture is
or
too
can
much.
give blessings with the blues. Mojo comes from a kind of a Gree term, it's a term that you get out of New Orleans in the South. It has to do with the magic that came from Africa that the slaves brought in.
Okay.
And later on in America, it became sort of an acronym or a slang for power. We say hoodoo, we say voodoo, we say gree. It's not about who you play for as much as it is the way you play. I try to make my shows very energetic and electric and up, I try to really get right up into everybody. I like music more than I like acting.
It shows.
I like music more than I like acting.
On the seventh day, on the seventh month, everybody knows I'm here.
Powerful.
Mojo Priest. Oh my god. He's something, man. It's hilarious because
for just $67.
He's so unaware or so unself-aware.
Yeah, I think he's somewhat aware. He's just acting all the time.
Oh, I think it's the opposite. I think he literally is just delusional. He's in his own world, and that's what makes it great. Because if it was him just putting on a thing, I don't know if it'd be as fun.
No, I don't think he's putting on a thing entirely. I think he is somewhat delusional, yeah, but he's definitely acting because he's like putting on this sort of fake Southern accent as well, and it's just, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It takes a lot of drugs to be in that kind of a situation. It's similar to like Trump and his sort of whole mythos. They always say, it's like a lack of personality or whatever underneath it. So he has to supplement himself
lack of personality and lack of self-awareness. That's what I always think. It's just like you're just so oblivious to who you are. Just you think everything you say is gold. Like not you, but like the person who has that.
No, I do actually think that. Solid gold.
Solid gold.
There's sort of like a median or moderation between being painfully self-aware and then someone who's completely oblivious.
Like I'd say Jim Carrey is completely self-aware of himself now. He's one of those people that seems to have kind of like he's kind of centered and he knows himself. And whereas Seagal, I'd say he's completely opposite on that spectrum. If they were to be in the same room together, I'd be like, these two human beings are on the complete opposite spectrum of self-awareness.
Well, I think, like someone like Jim Carrey, he went through like a really bad experience where, his girlfriend committed suicide, and it must have been quite
just a soul
sort of
moment.
just a tragic thing. But he obviously would have faced a lot of people who would have been leveling blame at him, as if, of course, like he's the only one responsible somehow. When in reality, I'm sure, in any kind of relationship, especially people in Hollywood and stuff like that, and him with her, they don't live their life thinking, oh, I've got to be sort of incredibly responsible at all times.
Yeah.
In case something really tragic happens at any moment. Because obviously he wouldn't have been aware that was going to happen. So, and even if he was, things are not going to
he can't just live his life as if he's somebody's
Yes, I know what you're trying to say.
mental health nurse, basically.
And I'm sure he did everything he could to help her.
I'm sure they had arguments and all sorts of things, but and he may not have always been the nicest person of all time, but then not everybody is.
Yeah. Hey, Devin, you missed James eating a whole thing of yogurt, which looked very questionable too. I've never seen yogurt or whatever he was eating look like that. So.
Well, it was a chocolate pudding, so
I'll take your word for it. Kid.
I've just got to put the actual pictures up though for from Gary. So I'll just be doing that in case you want to talk about anything else as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say with the latest news with Hollywood, because now you got the actors are on strike now. So you got the writers, you got the actors, you got a lot of projects that are being put on hold. I know specifically Stranger Things has been hold on to 2025. But as far as anything else, I don't know
if I'll be able to contain myself for that.
Apparently Ghostbusters, the new one, has finished filming, if that's true. So they're not going to.
I think that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so
that's had quite a long time since the last one, and they were filming on a set. I've seen the set of the Ghost. It's of the HQ thing, the building in New York.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But then you said they were filming some in this country. I couldn't believe that, but
yeah.
If you say it, I believe it.
Bill Murray was there for a bit, and Dan Aykroyd.
No, I mean, I think there'll be some films, obviously, that are ready to watch, and
because your country has beautiful sites, and just like everywhere, it's so filmable in your country. It's amazing. You could pick any part of anywhere. It's just amazing.
I didn't know there was any link between anything in.
Yeah, what would be the link? Yeah, it's true. Unless they're just using as
any of the characters on it. I mean, they could make a link with some of the characters having some kind of relatives in England or something.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah,
but if they do go into this country and have some, like, it would seem very predictable if they had a haunted house mansion or something. But
yeah.
But on the other hand, I don't bemoan that either. Really, I think it's inevitable.
Do you think they're done with the New York setting? They maybe want to move to a different setting? Because I'm trying to think if it.
No, I think they're obviously using the New York setting, but I did think it was going to be a bit early for all of the youngsters from that town to just suddenly move to New York and become, like Ghostbusters going around the city or something
and
anyway, what's the interest in that? They can't just do the same thing as they did with the older Ghostbusters and repeat it. That would be pretty a mistake, I think.
Do you know if they're bringing? As a random question, I didn't look it up, but the original actress who was in the first one, the young girl, I heard she had retired from filming.
McKenna Grace.
Yeah, I heard right after that film. I heard she had retired. So is she in?
No, she's not.
Oh, so she is in this new film?
No, she's only 16 now, but she sang the song that came up at the end, and I thought, oh, that's a good song. So I looked it up, and then I realised it was by Hair, the one at the end of the first film the Ghostbusters expansion pack. What was it called? Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yeah.
So it's called Haunted House. She's actually quite a decent singer, but she's known from basically being a child actress. I saw this film that was recommended with her in it called Gifted. And I mean, she also plays the young Margot Robbie in what's it called? That film about the ice skater, Tonya.
Oh,
and she's obviously good. She was one of the strongest performances in it, probably in the first film. But it's she's definitely not retired, because I've seen her. She did some kind of Peacock or like one of those American networks made for TV movies, like The Bad Seed, and then she did one called The Bad Seed Returns. Which
it was weird. Right after the Ghostbusters, I heard she said she was going to take a quote unquote break for a few years, but maybe it was just an article.
She may have had a break for a year, something like that, because obviously that would have been straight into going into the whole thing of COVID, because
true. Yeah.
They probably finished the film in about 2000. 19, and then it came out at the end of once COVID had sort of started, I think. Let me check.
Cameron, me and James are probably both guilty of that too. Of thinking about you when we have to pleasure ourselves. So it's not really Davern's fault,
He replied to Cameron in the chat now or something.
Cameron says Davern thinks about me when he pleasures himself. I'm saying we're all guilty of that, Cameron. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I think Davern seems almost to the point of like insanity about his level of obsession with Cameron at the moment, and I'm just wondering what the reason is for it, honestly. But I'm at the point now where I just think, I don't know. At some point he'll have to realize just how futile it is to be that obsessed with someone online. I mean, obviously, if you're that obsessed with people online, then you probably don't know many people in real life. Otherwise, why would you be, so sort of entranced? But it's not really my position to sort of make a judgment on that, because I don't really find anyone online that interesting for me.
No, yeah.
On the whole, I mean, beyond like imagining them in a real world setting, but I don't imagine Cameron in a shower, or something like that.
I didn't think you were going to go there, but okay.
But with Davern, it's hard to understand what exactly is happening. Well, have I got that up? Oh my god!
Oh, sorry.
It was actually released in 2021, but probably finished like by around 2020. So that's Afterlife. It came out in 2021, so it's not very long ago, really. Okay, well, we've got these things. Let me just get this shit off the screen now. Sorry. Top action star, Ico Ridge. You're so vain. I bet you think this stream is about you. The clouds in my coffee. That's what it is. It is a reference to You're So Vain, the title of the show. Yeah. Not that I'm a massive fan of Carly Simon or whoever sang that song, but I think it's obviously a good song. And when a lot of things online are so, the people are very much based around sort of selling themselves and things. I don't know if there's certain things that I pick up on online through things I've subscribed to on YouTube or otherwise, and I'd watch it on the TV. And have you heard of that Colleen Mallinger, who she made that character called Miranda Sings?
No.
Don't tell me no at all. Oh, come on. Well, she was, I mean, it's not really worth going into if you don't really know who she was at all, but I'll say she's just quite an odd person. But I mean, the character herself, I never found the character that funny myself. I mean, it was mildly funny at times, but where she was sort of basically playing like a teenage girl who thought she was brilliant and everything, but was really, in a way, just kind of laughable and had sort of lipstick smeared across her face and stuff. But she's like a woman who's older now. She's had twins, apparently.
Oh, I think I'm aware of what you're talking about.
Now she looks like underweight and not very well, really.
Okay.
And she's just been wrapped up in all this kind of controversy over how she had these different chats for the sort of tweenies. And she had one chat that was called something like the Queefers. I don't know exactly what a queef is, but it's...
Really don't?
They were just like really going into...
the pussy fart.
Yeah, it's not like that funny for me. It's just like, especially if you're sharing chats with... I mean, literally, there were 12-year-olds on there and stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I mean, it's not like totally, it's borderline between being sort of going into like illegal territory or being just like having fun. But yeah, I don't think calling a chat anything to do with queef should be done, obviously, amongst youngsters. And
for sure,
she was basically just sort of like interacting with all these youngsters in ways like that, and it was sort of
that's odd. That's odd behavior.
I don't know if she befriended that Trisha Paytas. I don't know if you've ever heard of her, and she's actually got an OnlyFans and stuff, and she was like sharing links to the OnlyFans and some of her adult videos to the youngsters, like making fun of her, but then doing videos with her where they're like friends and just really childish things like that. So kind of pathetic, I suppose. But, you know, what do you expect within these kind of social worlds? It's just, none of it's real, is it? It's all just a kind of fantasy. Even if someone makes millions off of YouTube or something, it's still, it could just end any day, really.
Yeah.
You know, and then
it's not a long-term viable career, you know.
And then they're just like stuck, you know, with what do I do now? You know, like, oh no, I've been outed as basically borderline epophile or whatever they would call it, not strictly a paedophile, but I mean, it's just terrible. And I think the real world consequences should be that people like that are just completely banned from going online or something.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
To set an example. Otherwise, the thing is, and to safeguard them as well, because I think it would be healthier for them to just do something completely different. You know, I don't think they should have to go to jail for that kind of thing necessarily. Just
some type of measure to a deterrent, you're saying, so they don't do it again. You know?
Well, it depends obviously on the seriousness of it. Hello, Cameron. Hope you're all right there.
Hello. I just got Johnny's invitation.
Good. Well, he didn't even tell me he invited you. So, but
I was about to say,
that's probably because I'm speaking at high speed, and you know who Colleen Ballinger is or whatever. I bet. No. Well, that she did that thing called Miranda Sings. No. Oh well, moving on from that anyway. It's okay.
Let me just see her face, Miranda Sings. Because I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, that's her face. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, I will respond to Davin. Cameron was totally basically just making a good point in that you are similar to Al, in that you're just completely obsessive. But admittedly, you didn't start sending kind of threatening messages to someone, which Al did. So, you know.
Well, Davin is responsible for actually harassing Jamie on the internet. So while it may not have been the extent of what Al did, he is the same in more or less because he did harass Jamie as well. And Davin's just he's just an idiot. What can I say?
Well, it's not the case of, I don't know about harassing her, but I think he doesn't have any real
he has
Jamie,
absolutely zero social skills whatsoever. So much so that he spends his free time on a Twin Peaks message board. I mean, seriously, the guy needs to get a life. He only comes on here so he can harass you guys in the chat as well. So, you know, the guy has no life whatsoever. He has spent literally the last 6 years trying to start a feud between you and me. Okay, the guy needs to spend more time looking in the mirror and taking care of his zits than doing that.
Well, I think with me, and whether I've got people blocked or not and that kind of thing, I have had Davin blocked for a series of weeks and things. And then I got messages on my alternate, Voltaire would probably call it my African Facebook account. And it's like, and I'm like, what the hell? Why is he writing about me on here as well? And he sent me an actual screenshot.
Do you realize how insane this guy is for him to stop you on your other?
That was
Facebook
about
pages?
Jamie. That was about Jamie, and he was sending me something that was about Jamie. You know, when the whole thing that was to do with Jamie and Josh. I'm not trying to bring anything up, but it's like basically all he's trying to do is, like you say, reignite some kind of drama, which wasn't very dramatic in the first place. Like, if people have a crush on each other who do a video together, in a way, what's the problem with that? You know, it's just,
well, the point is that you and I are still talking, and he's still on the fringe. Like, he's not. He's not part of this at all. He's just a complete fool.
Well, I'm just saying that I'm more than happy with like kind of
I
like
do. So I want
blocking and unblocking. Like I'll block Davrin after this because the way he's being now in the chat is just.
Well, are you surprised? This is the way he's been for the last 6 years. Phantom Cooper is saying just ignore him like an adult. I do ignore him. I have him blocked on everywhere. But if I'm on James' show and Davrin is chiming away in the chat, this is what we do on this show. We address the chat, and if he wants to,
I just think
he'd make him.
I thought he'd make peace with me. You know, make peace.
Oh, so Davrin
in some way. And,
Davrin is a Donald Trump supporter. Apparently, he's always sticking up for Donald Trump. I mean, Davrin, if you want to pleasure Donald Trump, just get on your knees, like half of MAGA America, and do it. Just get it over with. Take that load in your mouth and enjoy life.
Well, I don't care about people's sexuality or anything like that.
It might help with his complexion if he takes a bunch. So.
No, but that picture, if you're referring to Davrin's picture on Facebook, that's like 15 years old.
Oh, okay.
He won't change it because, the ravages of time, basically. So.
Oh, well, I'm sure his zits are 10 times worse now.
Well, yeah, I mean, anyway, I think if it's just going to come to basically Davrin filling the entire chat up with his, like when there's only 10 people watching on this channel, I do have a different channel as well.
Well, Davrin's probably watching on 4 different accounts, so let's be honest.
It's half of it. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame. Like when he actually gets this kind of a chance to be able to talk to you and everything, and it just becomes basically like baiting.
I've said to James, and if he, in an alternate world, if he just focused on movie recommendations and film talk, he's actually pretty good to that. But it's when he diverges to, attacking Cameron and James or getting them to feud, that's where it gets odd.
No, it's more to do. I mean, the thing is, Davrin used to be like really praising Cameron all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a big fan. Here's the thing about Davrin is that he has to understand this. Like, he's just never going to win this. There's just no way. I mean, like, he's just a complete idiot. Because all we do, Davrin, is when James and I talk, if you even come up, we mock you. We completely just say like how horrific you are as a human being. So we're just addressing you because you're here in the chat and we like playing with you like a mouse. Okay? You're an idiot. You were like literally Dostoevsky's idiot. We don't like you. We don't care if you're here. I know you're enjoying this, Davrin, because you're probably touching yourself right now while we're doing this.
So the imagery.
Well, anyway, I mean, Davrin, I will just say to you, please let other people talk in the chat. Otherwise, you really are just crossing the line.
Let's just
James
block him now for fun.
James has
block him now for fun.
More of a understanding host. He's giving you more enough opportunity to just talk.
Phantom Cooper, you have never said one nice thing about me for like 7 years. So just, kindly take your 15-year-old self that apparently has been 15 for 7 years now and just go back and pretend you're a girl like you've been doing for 7 years.
Is Phantom Cooper not a girl? I thought she was.
It's not a girl. It's not a girl. I've been following his YouTube channel for a while.
His YouTube channel that just throws everything up. Oh my God.
Yeah.
There's no way a young female would tune into this channel. They'd be like, "Ew, this is disgusting." It's just madness. But I mean, on the other hand, like when I used to have Chloe on, for instance, people would say, "Oh, I can't believe that you got Chloe on, James." And I'm like, why? All
right, Phantom Cooper, you said one nice thing about me in 7 years.
It's nothing to do with...
Hardly equates equal balance here.
None of this is to do with how people look, about sort of like trying to be popular or anything like that. And
like, it's funny though, James, is like Davrin literally thinks he's getting a rise out of me. Like, seriously, I came on here to just mess with you, Davrin.
No, he doesn't think he is. He's so one note, like to the point of like...
He's a parody of himself.
Like autism, really. So it's just...
Oh, come on. Do not bring special needs is so much more intelligent than anything Davrin could ever like show us.
All right, yeah, I shouldn't have said that. I apologize. But the thing is,
I'm just talking out of lack of knowledge. So I think.
I mean, I know Davern is he's partly responsible for like screwing with me behind the scenes on things. I know he is. He doesn't. He can say whatever he wants in the chat. I know that he was partly responsible for a lot of the stuff that happened. So that's fine. That's fine. How pathetic can I get, Davern? You literally spend your free time talking about me on a Twin Peaks message board that I don't even go on. That's pathetic. Seriously. I came on.
Well, the thing with the Tulpa thing is that Davrin now thinks that I've somehow managed to get his account deleted or whatever, or suspended.
Agent Earl got suspended. What a surprise!
No, I don't know. I don't know if he was for sure, but he said to me, basically, he made provisions or something like that for in case there was that happened. Basically, I don't know, but he wasn't explicit about it.
It will happen eventually. The admins do not like him at all. So,
well, that's the thing, because I wrote to some of the people on there, and he said that I was just trying to like gossip about him or something, as if everything centers around him, whereas in fact, I've been on there before, and I did have like an argument with Davrin and was kind of goading him deliberately, and I got shoved off. But I made a new account on there and everything. So yeah, but it's easy to have an argument with Davrin on there. It's very easy. So I've written to the Tulpa admin and also another couple of people on there, and they all seemed completely fine, which was quite surprising considering Dugpa seemed like completely the opposite. Like I would make one post and immediately get deleted or something. Or, I mean, they only ever associated me with me stealing loads of photos and then putting them somewhere.
Can I just ask, like, what did I do to Davrin? Just because it seems like because since I blocked him, he like just turned against me when he was like my biggest cheerleader. Like he was, ready to drop on his knees at any moment I wanted him to. And then I blocked him, and then he's he's become Fatal Attraction. He's now Glenn Close.
Fatal Attraction. Yeah.
Well, I hate to use the word because of my own associations with it and things, but I do find it quite bipolar to go from a sort of.
Can we just be? I mean, can we be done with him for today? Can we just block him for today at least? Because I'd rather read other people's comments.
Well, I'll give him a chance in that he can come back in after timeout and just put something else other than just constantly saying kind of critical things about Cameron, because it's really.
I don't care about critical things. How about like real things? I mean, he doesn't even live in reality.
Well, that's a major point. Like, especially if somebody's in a kind of manic phase and things like this, they can become totally detached from reality. And I don't know about the depression and things like that, but Davrin definitely strikes me as someone who's sort of in a kind of psychotic break,
Well, let me tell you, if he didn't live in another country, I would put a restraining order on the guy. Dan, yes, I have seen Out of the Blue. I have it on 4K, and I don't know if it was an inspiration on Lynch, but I do know that Dennis Hopper channeled some of his performance in that movie into Frank Booth. One, because I think he was playing, a part of himself in it. And I think Lynch just kind of went with it as well. So, there is a connection there. Absolutely.
Was it like his performance in The Crow 3?
No.
I'm kidding.
No, I think with Lynch, like everything's an inspiration. It's just like Aha sent him a song called Sycamore Leaves. And then they're like, this main songwriter, Aha, gets really angry. But of course, he's pretty young at the time. Mm-hmm. When Lynch came out with a song called Sycamore Trees and claimed it was similar in some way. Yeah. I listened to it. It didn't sound similar. But could Lynch have been inspired by the title of the song? Absolutely. And they were Norwegian. The Norwegians are leaving, all that kind of stuff. I mean, but I think Lynch is inspired by everything.
Phantom, it's kind of hard to ignore the trolls when those are a lot of times the people commenting in these chats. So it's like, these shows are designed to comment on the commenters. And if we don't comment on what the commenters are saying, then what are we going to do? Because
Phantom Cooper, if you're like a 17-year-old girl,
which he's not.
What 17-year-old girl comes online and then says to somebody, "At least when I criticize you, it's somewhat constructive criticism"?
You don't think
That sounds more like a head teacher.
No, I'd like to know what Phantom Cooper, like what he does, and you know, what he's like as an actual human being, as opposed to just in here or doing his video game channel.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious, like advice, like ignore the trolls. I mean,
Absolutely. Do you know how many trolls I ignore on the daily? Like a lot. I you know, James ignores them too, but occasionally you kind of have to address people who have, like, you know, mess with your life offline as well, you know. So
what do you think about Dead Reckoning, the new Mission Impossible, part 7, part 1 of that one?
I haven't seen it yet.
Do you think it's underperforming at the box office? Well, it is apparently.
It's really weird because it's on par for the other films, but it made as much as Indiana Jones, and yet Indiana Jones is being talked about as a flop, but Mission Impossible is being talked about as like, well,
but that's because Indiana Jones was always regarded as like a massive money spinner. But I think Disney have realized almost too late that people are just like, who's Indiana Jones? Like, you know, now the young kids and stuff, they have to, I mean, like my nephew, he's seen a couple of Indiana Jones. He's 8. So, but
I think they should.
He's not going to go to the cinema, is he? So
I think they should have just gone for it and put part 1 and 2 together and just released a 4-hour Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah, probably.
That'd been amazing.
An epic.
Yeah. I mean, if you got it, you got to go against Oppenheimer, right? So put out a 4-hour. Did you see that Oppenheimer is rated R for like graphic nudity and
I heard there's going to be sex. Yeah, there's going to be some sex.
I'm definitely going now.
Like what graphic nudity? I mean, Cillian Murphy.
I'm going to go in there to see the Exorcist Believer trailer that's on before it.
Oh,
then I'm walking out
on IMAX. It's going to be the IMAX premiere.
For me, Oppenheimer is just a glorified
trailer of Exorcist Believer. People will just be like booing.
So
I think.
So Gary North, that is completely wrong. Sound of Freedom is not doing better. What I mean, yes, in terms of money, but nobody's going to see it. The Republican Party and churches are actually buying out screens, and nobody's going.
Yeah,
they're just buying out the tickets. Like it's kind of like when you see like a prominent Republican on the 10 best list of New York Times. It's not because people are buying it. It's because the Republican Party buys it and then gives it out in tote bags.
Yeah. Right? Here's your free book. Here's Mark Levin's new book. Yeah.
And no one's buying it. Just they are.
Aren't people thinking it's actually the sequel to The Passion of the Christ because Jim Caviezel?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it's about, but it's obviously a kind of a religious film, isn't it?
What?
What?
Sound of Freedom.
It's not a religious movie. It's a QAnon, child trafficking, Jim Caviezel, Mel Gibson.
I'll probably pass on that one.
No. Yeah.
I mean,
it's basically that Hollywood's stealing all the children, doing blood sacrifices and demonic stuff.
Oh, for God's sake. Here he is. Davern came back and is, you know.
This is insanity.
Passing himself off as a Lynch buddy. I've never done that, you dumbass. Jesus.
Anyway, Davern, move on now. Not enough of that. Tell us something about what you've done.
But Cameron could easily, if the stars align, could do an excellent interview with Lynch, you know, or do it.
I would give probably one of the best interviews.
Oh, it'd be excellent. I could see it in my mind. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I would hopefully give one of the worst. But
here's my friend. You could do his follow-up.
I bought this week, and I'm mad now. Audrey Rose.
Yeah, Anthony Hopkins movie.
It's a good film, but the commentary for it is more like a history of reincarnation movies. So I was thinking, like,
very cool.
This is not a proper commentary. This is just someone babbling on about bloody every film under the sun. You know.
Well, same thing with Amityville Horror. They have like some like psychologist on there as the commentary.
Yeah, it's annoying. It's not really what I'd call a commentary. It's more like a film history type of, and it gets a bit tedious because he's just completely ignoring what is on the screen. So how is that a commentary? I'm watching a silent film and he's going, oh, yeah, well, there was this other really bad reincarnation film called The Reincarnation of Peter Proud.
I mean, Davern's like a 50-year-old guy with zits that is like telling me that I'm just upset because he's on a Twin Peaks message board trying to like rile me up. Like, seriously, get a life, dude. I've gone on that message board like twice in my lifetime, and mostly it was just to report your dumbass. So, you know.
Oh my god.
Tulpa is one of the most
It seems like a
massive sites or forums out there that people are clamoring in Hollywood to read it. Especially the comments from Agent Earl, aka Davrin, where he would basically just say every comment would be, "Liz should do this, but do it with a monkey."
No,
it's so funny, so funny.
A monkey.
Davrin wants to duke it with the monkey. Let me tell you.
Oh my god, we're taking it to another.
Yeah, he hates Lynch now, and he hates.
He just wants to be like this, Judy, Judy.
I mean, you can basically. What they say is, kill your idols, or if you ever meet people that you're really into, and this happened to me with Christabel, I was actually too scared to talk to her when I saw her, and then I spent the entire night on a canal boat, and I couldn't get to sleep till 3 a.m. because just the thoughts I was having of her, and it's a lesson for all of us, I think.
Oh, just so you know, I'm going to be.
But at least I got out there and did it.
I found this in my garage. I got to sell it. Look at this brand new in the box Spice Girls action figures.
Oh, wow.
I was like,
only 4.
Yeah, well, this is after Ginger left. So.
Well, they're doing a reunion now with Ginger, but Victoria never appears for some unknown reason.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I was going through the garage and I found that in a box. And I'm like, yeah, that's going to be sold. So
that would probably fetch upwards of at least £50.
Oh, 50.
Yeah, about $100. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would buy it for that and then just put it on my shelf and look at it.
Really?
And put my Audrey doll next to it as well.
Yeah.
No, I do a painting on all the faces like Exorcist 2. So they'd all become possessed by Pazuzu. And then somehow get a figurine of Richard Burton, and then they're all molesting him.
Can you please go see Exorcist Believer in a robe with some incense and just do like a
definitely
film it, please.
Do like a little seance right before the movie begins.
Yes.
Or not dressed up as a massive locust like James Earl Jones in the second one.
Yeah, I think that might get you canceled if you showed up as James Earl Jones riding a locust.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, not blacked up though. Obviously,
No,
that would
be pushing the envelope too far. I am going to see Oppenheimer though. Actually, dressed up as
what?
Zhao Day.
Are you gonna go? Are you gonna hop over and see Barbie next?
When I actually finish seeing,
go for a double
I'm just going to
feature,
creep into the next and be behind the chairs at the back hiding, so that no one will ever see me because they have cameras in all the theaters now, and they come in with these glasses as well to check that nobody's filming it with their phone or whatever.
Yeah,
and when I was watching the Batman, I'd actually stripped off and was nude in the front row, and they said, "What are you doing?" I was just sorry, I was just enjoying the film.
You were just like the Riddler.
Yeah,
it's the rubber.
You and Paul Dano nude watching it.
Definitely. No, I mean, yeah, from the start of this video, Johnny was saying that
Dan's comment's great.
Probably, yeah. I will. Yeah. Johnny was wondering, is the film going to be like a documentary, for instance? And by the sounds of it, if it's got full-on nudity and people bumming or something, I mean, is that going to be the Jack Parsons stuff with some woman in a big red?
Oh my God,
the red wig. I don't know why the red wig or the red hair is important.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, surely if people are going to start having demons come from other dimensions by way of a massive bomb exploding and virtual magic sex rituals, hair having red hair why does that matter? That's what I want to know. I mean,
good question.
If Davrin was involved in that sex ritual, would he need to have long red hair?
Oh my God.
I don't know. I will ask the Tulpa Forum about that soon anyway. But
it's a good question, yeah.
They were warned anyway. They were warned.
I just want to know one thing.
Jack Nicholson said.
I just want to know one thing about that situation is what is the monkey's safe word?
The monkey.
Yeah. What does the monkey? What does the monkey got to say to get Davern to stop thrusting?
Oh my God.
No, you mean like when he says Judy at the end of Fire Walk with Me? Or...
Yeah.
Well, according to Twin Perfect, like that Maggie Mayfish played that
Electricity.
there, she said that he's like Curious George, and she goes like, Jesus Christ, or something, and it's like Lynch didn't put it in there as a reference to Curious George, like. And like, what makes monkeys naturally?
Well, you never know.
Put it in there.
You never know, because we got the monkey in Fire Walk with Me. If that's Curious George, then the man with the yellow hat is in Mulholland Drive.
Well, come on.
Well, there's a monkey at the end of Inland Empire, but there's no monkeys in The Return. So
yeah,
try and make sense of that.
Well, there was that tree monkey in that one scene.
Here's what I want to know.
What's that?
No.
Here's what I want to know.
That would have been a cool one.
Is the barking dog that we see during the one-armed man yelling, and so we see like 2 flashes of it. What it's not in the script. What I want to know is, was that filmed for production, or did they get into editing and be like, I think we need like a barking dog, and they got a dog to show up in the parking lot of the studio and or the soundstage and just shot a dog for like an hour and then peppered it in. Like, was it an afterthought, or was it something that they always wanted to put in the film?
Speaking of the one-armed man, someone brought up recently that the idea after he talks to Cooper in the 2nd season, there's the idea that he dies, and that's why we only see him in the Red Room in the 3rd season.
That's a good theory. And that's probably why he's named Philip Gerard in season 3.
Well, he didn't live in Twin Peaks though, did he? So
no, but
there's no reason for his character to be.
He looked like he was on kind of death's door. Like he looked like he was all out of it. Like he was.
But he's not. He's also not named Mike in season 3. He's only Philip Gerard.
He looked like he was on death's door when
he's talking to Cooper and he's doing like the symbol of the ring and stuff.
In episode 16 when he passes out in the bed, when he's like got no shirt on, and we never see him again.
No, I don't think he's supposed to be passed away. He's supposed to be just, out there amongst the people selling shoes. And in The Return, like he could be still alive for sure, because Al Strobel still was.
But here's the question: why doesn't the one-armed man appear in the 2nd season finale?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the giant's in the Red Room, for goodness sakes.
Well, the thing you could say, why is the man from another place not in there? And it's because of just obvious reasons.
No, but I'm talking about the 2nd season finale. Like, why isn't Al Strobel in that last episode?
Oh, right. Well, I don't know. Maybe he just wasn't available to film, or he wasn't in the script. I mean, there's only so many people they could have featured. And he often seemed to be more like a kind of a guide. He's like a guide to Cooper, isn't he? And he's sort of like guiding people through the Red Room, etc. And that idea would be sort of going against the idea of Cooper being lost in the Red Room in the ending of season 2. So he wasn't really needed, perhaps. Plus the fact that there were loads of other people in the Red Room, weren't there? So Laura, Maddie, Annie, Wyndham Earl, who else? The man from another place, the giant. Josie was filmed, but they only filmed her legs poking out behind a red curtain. Who else? James Hurley appeared briefly whizzing across the Red Room floor on his bike.
Really?
That was a great moment that Lynch unfortunately put on the cutting room floor, never to be seen again. Evelyn Marsh appeared at one stage.
Yeah.
So,
Johnny, did you see those 2 Twin Peaks videos they cut together?
Recently?
Yeah, on my channel.
No, I haven't checked those out yet.
I took I basically cut between the pilot and Fire Walk with Me to show you like how it lines up.
Oh wow, very cool.
A couple different little things.
they were very well edited, I must say.
Definitely check that out.
I mean, the one with them in the conference room and everything, and that was really well done. I mean, it was professional level.
Well, no, I just thought it was interesting that it's very clear that they used the pilot, they use the pilot and the finale to inform Fire Walk with Me, and that's why they don't have Laura talking to Josie in the movie, because that was episode 1 and they didn't go further than the pilot. to like review to do Firewalk with me.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of discrepancies, though, aren't there, in terms of timelines and things in Twin Peaks as a whole. So that sort of fed into the kind of thing that Mark Frost was doing with the Secret History, but then there was no correlation in particular between the book and then what we got on screen with Lynch's vision as such. It was.
Oh, I did want to show you. Okay, so I'm sure you guys have seen my pictures, right? You know, because I went to Montana, and so I am. So Montana right now, where I was, is basically 1990 Snoqualmie North Bend. Like where, like Snoqualmie North Bend is like really modernized, right? They're changing the roads, they're doing this and that. Where I was in Montana, like it was in 1989. Hang on. It was like 1989 Snoqualmie North Bend. And I was like going, God, why does this so remind me of Twin Peaks? Yes, because we are like 10 miles from the border of Canada. You know, it's got a similar Pacific Northwest vibe, but it's still Montana. We go hiking in Glacier Park. We did the whole Going to the Sun Road, you know, the road that Jack Torrance takes to The Shining, right?
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
And then, but we were hiking in the woods, and hang on.
That's where you were on that boat on the lake.
Sorry, I'll be right back, Mr.
No
Seasoning.
problem. No problem. Yeah, that must have been beautiful. I could only imagine just being there, just, you know, the sun's out and just that view of everything. That would have been amazing.
Davern, if you're going to just keep giving these like smart Alec quips as your comments, then I will just put you on mute for a while, because you're the one who needs anger management. I don't know if you realize just how revealing your kind of comments are of you, but they certainly don't make you look good.
Yeah,
So
you got to be a little more. Yeah.
So we were
just
hiking.
Talk about something else, please.
So we're hiking in Glacier Park, right? Which is, you know, like I said, it's a huge area, which you see in The Shining. And there's all these like things that like to kind of tell you about, you know, the area and what you're seeing. And they start talking about the Salish Native Americans. And I'm like, this is so weird, right? Because we're in Montana. And then I had to get this, in the gift shop, they have the Salish people and Lewis and Clark.
Oh, wow.
So there is definitely a connection. I mean, considering the fact that they mention Missoula, Montana, and a few other towns of Montana in Twin Peaks, and David Lynch is from there as well, I do think that there is a serious connection. You know, Butte, Montana, Hungry Horse, Montana, right? Missoula, and I think there's definitely a connection between that state and Twin Peaks in general.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah.
And the fact that it's even with the Native Americans and Lewis and Clark is very bizarre, but interesting. And the fact that we always said The Shining and Kubrick and stuff ties into Lynch and all that is like, it's fascinating to be up there.
I think like the way the spirits are kind of invading Jack Torrance. There's a new video. It's only about 10 minutes. It's very similar to the whole thing with Bob and Leyland, you know, because obviously you can see it as either Jack Torrance is completely responsible for everything, and even he was mishandling Danny, and some people think even sexual abuse, but there's no proof of that, of course. And it's just very similar to the whole, are we seeing things or is this real? You know, the idea of
Is that the video where everyone's like looking at the camera for like a second or like a frame or two?
It's a new video that Josh just sent me, actually. It's only 10 minutes on. Someone posted it on YouTube about something to do with like transcendental, something to do with Kubrick and Lynch or Twin Peaks. And I'll send you a link to it. But.
Yeah, there's a new video out too, where it says that at numerous times in the film, Nick Nicholson, for one or two frames, his eyes hit the lens. And I personally, I think that maybe some of it was purposeful, but I think a lot of it was just Nicholson checking in on Kubrick. Am I doing this right?
Yeah, I think it was probably like sort of Kubrick was trying to, like, you know, tell Jack Nicholson how to act. Well, not how to act, but how to do a scene. And he'd be checking back, like you say, and sort of, and then Kubrick would immediately notice this or
pretty soon notice it and go, okay, we can't use that bit. But then afterwards, he made the film, and he was, for some reason, he left them in, or he chose those bits because it gives this idea of, it's unnerving. I think the main thing is it's subliminal. So I don't think that Kubrick was wanting, because when they saw it in the cinema, they're not pausing it and things like this. And
Right.
I think he was incredibly in
He
control.
was the
of this
master
film.
of subliminal messaging. He took
gives
courses
this
on that
idea
before
that
he even started filming.
Jack, it's like the Jack character is sort of checking the audience out almost. Like, did you see me do that? And there's an element of, so it's quite eerie and uncanny. And people who enjoy the film probably like it for those kind of reasons, where it's sort of
I like the movie
breaking the fourth wall. And all
I
that.
liked the movie when I was younger. I think the film just seems to get stronger and stronger every year.
Yeah,
and it's just.
Oh yeah, I think so. It's
just
I think when I saw the American version of it as well, I was like, this version's definitely better than the UK one. So just the fact that Kubrick thought, right, I'm going to have two different versions of the film, but not make those countries aware of it. Like, we didn't know about it in those days. They put the American version on ITV one night here, and I was like, I've never seen that bit. What the hell's going on?
There's this great Shining book that just came out. It's $1,500, but but it is, I would say, almost worth it, because you get Kubrick's original shooting script with all his notes on it, all his revisions.
Sounds like that's what Josh might have bought, because I remember Josh bought something recently that was some Kubrick related.
And then you get the whole like play by play of the whole making of it. Then you get the whole all work and no play, like all the typing pages, and you get all. I mean, like there's hundreds and hundreds of behind the scenes stills that have never seen the light of day. I would sell almost everything in my whole house to get that. So,
right, yeah, I'll show you this new video. It's actually worth watching for sure, but I'm not going to watch it all now. But then we can just have a quick look at the all these different purchases that Gary's made. I'll just show you a brief screen of what this Trauma and Transcendence, Twin Peaks, The Shining. So, but it's good in that someone's made a video that's just 12 minutes. It's like you don't have to make a video that lasts 4 hours for it to be like the ultimate theory. Do you know what I mean? And it can still give you a lot to think. Like, I don't have one idea what the hell Twin Perfect was talking about, and he made 4 hours of it.
Well, instead of like doing that, you could just split up that video into like 10-minute chunks, and just release a little bit at the time,
Yeah, that would make it even more painful. Or I would say actually, if you're watching this Twin Perfect, don't make the video ever. Close down your channel and do something else instead, less interesting. I think that would be good, because you have no ability to present videos. And when I see your face, I just want to punch your face like Mr. C in that scene in The Return, where his head implodes almost.
Oh my God.
Well, I mean, I'm just being honest.
It sounds like it.
I'm not saying I would like to do the same thing to Davrin or anything like that.
No, you said that you wanted to eat his butt.
I didn't want to eat his
Every time I hear that is.
I was thinking about that scene in Twin Peaks: The Return where Sarah says, "I'll eat you."
Oh, okay.
And I was going to rip his neck off and then throw him off a bridge. So there's a bridge right behind where I live. So I'm constantly thinking of like, I wonder what if you jumped off there.
If that ever happens, make sure to film it and then flash back to you going, "Animal life."
Well, if I do the Amityville short film,
oh yeah,
I'm going to have like an actual sort of like a person falling off there.
What do you think of that poster I sent you? That's a real movie coming out.
Oh, you mean Amityville like in space?
No, the one I sent you yesterday.
Did you? I can't remember what you sent. I don't know if I got it.
It's a real movie.
It was lost in the mail.
Amityville Glory Hole.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I don't think you sent it.
I need to see this. What is it?
Oh, I've got it now. Sorry. Is this an actual full length film?
Yes, this is an ad in Fangoria. Put it up on the screen.
This has gone desperation level now. But
The tagline,
You know.
the tagline is, "You don't want to know what's on the other side."
Okay, I'll just share it in a minute. I'll just have to put it after all these
Yeah,
That's
purchases
somebody-
from Gary.
That's a great tagline. My God.
You ooze, you lose.
I don't
Wow,
think it's been
this-
successful because I don't think people are that interested in like both a combination of sexual stuff and horror. It's
Tell that to the people who like Ichi the Killer.
Yeah.
but that's serious. This is just. I mean, this doesn't look like a serious film from this ad, does it?
Oh my God.
Like, it's not even very well done. Like, the fence just looks sort of like last minute. The house is fine.
Can you call
The
your
sky-
movie?
That's
Are you going to call your
hilarious.
movie Amityville Animal Life?
What is it supposed to be like? Is this supposed to be like National Lampoon Presents Amityville Glory Hole? Because it looks like that kind of poster. I mean, obviously, it's something pretty low budget, but
Yeah, late 90s Photoshop or something.
I'll be right back.
yeah, but what the hell? I mean, I don't understand it. So someone gets possessed, then starts putting their member through a fence. It's not really that dramatic, is it?
You just walk right by it. Oh, he's doing it again.
It's all red, painted red to look like the devil.
People just end up hanging stuff off it.
There's people just walking by it in slow motion, like in Blue Velvet.
Yeah.
Then also some children just walking over the road and so I've gone wrong. I've gone way too far.
You've gone way over the line.
This show's banned immediately.
Instantly got taken off.
It
You're
could
not part
happen,
of the
though.
sound
It
of
could
freedom.
happen. The film is warning against this kind of thing. Be careful.
Mm.
There could always be a strange person wearing a Macintosh and exposing themselves.
Or James, is it just like the fence, right? But it has a hole in it, and people just walk by and they're just so curious, and then they end up sticking their member in it, and then that's when shit hits the fan.
Well, maybe their member might become possessed.
Yeah, exactly. They go home, and then next thing they know, it's talking to them, and then that's it. That's the whole.
Well,
plot.
next thing, they're upstairs raping their own mother.
Okay, now you really got over the line.
I mean, come on. It's the
That
last
would
thing
be
you
a
want,
horror
really, on a
movie,
Sunday
yeah.
evening.
Yeah, pretty much. God damn you, glory hole.
No, but I'm offering this as a religious lesson for people of what not to do.
Yeah,
So,
avoid the glory hole.
if you imagine doing that, don't do it. That's what I
Don't
say.
do it. The
'Cause it
glory
could-
hole
I mean,
is
it's
wrong.
not lawful.
Oh my God.
I mean, your mum wouldn't like it, and secondly, you wouldn't like it. You
You
traumatise yourself. Think about
Next
that.
thing, you're
right?
not going to be looking in the mirror.
If you're a narcissist, just think about yourself. It's not
Mm.
normal. It's perverted and it's sick.
Yeah, even coming up with it, it's pretty not normal, but yeah.
I mean, forget about how it would affect anyone else. Primarily, think about your own mental health.
Oh my God.
Bearing down on your mother in bed. That's not normal.
No, it's not. This is something out of Game of Thrones. Like this is something out of House of the Dragon.
No, this could have happened if they carried Twin Peaks on, I think. Bob could have just possessed people and all these other things could have happened. That's what Lynch wanted.
Yeah, I could see that the whole town becoming like not zombified, but like bobified, like turning into like sexual predators and demonic.
But
killing.
the idea of Mr. C going around doing stuff is a bit like that. But we didn't see any of it,
I would
do
love to
we?
know how he built his empire, because from the time he leaves, when he talks, I think Major Briggs in the book is the last person to see him.
No.
Oh,
Ja-
no?
So you can't just try to think about this, right? He had his way with Audrey, right? He obviously is going to be mad at John Justice Wheeler for having that little rendezvous with Audrey Horne. So where did he go? He went to Brazil and set up shop, and that's where John Justice Wheeler went. And I think he
but
killed
in the
John Justice
jungle.
Wheeler and took his money.
No, he wanted that kind of machine that
Oh,
John
like
Justice Wheeler wanted.
succeeded
Well,
his
it had
empire
that
somehow.
one. That it was like a kind of a perspiring thing. It was like a glass dome. Mr. C was like, "I don't need it. I want it." Okay.
Yeah. That would be a
And,
movie on its own, just how I'm thinking about it. That's amazing.
John Justice Wheeler's like, "Well, you can have it for some money." He says, "No, I'll have it for free, thank you."
Yeah.
Bye.
And if
need
you go
more
by
Billy
that,
Zane,
and
you
if he
know?
killed John Justice Wheeler, right?
Mhm.
And then Audrey is in this other like world,
Mhm.
maybe the Billy she's always talking about is Billy Zane.
Yeah.
That would just be really
Well, I
cool.
think, yeah, probably, but I think that the The best thing they could have done is if they'd actually, instead of showing Mr. C coming in on that Mercedes and all that, like they should have just had him coming in on James's actual bike, like he'd stolen James's bike. That's why he's not on a bike throughout the series. And everywhere he appears, when he's in all the other different places, he's just constantly appearing on that bike with the kind of slowed down weird version of Americana playing, like dun 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 dun. Him just with no expression.
It'd be cool if Mr. C like stormed into the Twin Peaks Sheriff's Department and stole all the cocaine they found out of James' bike in the back
that
room.
would be hilarious. I would have loved to see that. Just rummaging through them.
I imagine Bobby had a lot in his locker. He was actually the chief kingpin, and that's why he didn't intrude on anything Red was doing, because he was concocting a plan to try and take over from Red.
To become the next big.
I think Bobby's a really interesting character in The Return in many ways, but it's like as if we just get the start of his story and then it just
He could have been the whole focus of the whole show, just his arc or his story, just
Dan's quoting Terminator, right?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, not necessarily the entire show be just about Bobby. I mean,
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
Give me your clothes. They were mainly James's clothes. That's why their jeans were so tight. It's a bit off-putting when you when they had the shots from behind Mr. C, and you could see like massive quantities of ass cleavage. But that was just Mr. C's style. He didn't give a shit. He was just antisocial. It's like, you're going to see my ass and you're going to like it.
They should have done a spin-off with, what was it, Marley Brown? What was the son's name?
Wally?
Of Lucy and...
Wally Brando.
Wally Brando, sorry,
See, I didn't like the whole look of it because I kept thinking he looks, they're going for the same Shia LaBeouf look in Last Crusade.
You're right. That's what it is.
I think it was deliberately embarrassing. Like, it was just supposed to be... Right. It was like as if he would come off some kind of film set or something, and he was just playing this comical character that you'd expect Michael Cera to play.
Yeah.
In one of his comedies, but then for some reason he just like adopted this stoical kind of gaze off into the just above the horizon. Like
I would have loved if he was at the end, when everyone's in the room, he's just there in the corner. I would have loved that. He's just there.
They should definitely have had more than one scene. Him, but
I know he like flew there, did like 2 takes, and then left pretty much. Wow. It seems like something like, Michael Cera was visiting the set, and we decided to throw him in at the last minute. Like it seems like something like that.
Yeah, probably was. He's probably a big Twin Peaks fan, I imagine.
That's why the pictures are so photoshopped.
You can imagine him being really into Twin Peaks because but he's just a natural eccentric, isn't he? And so. Well, he fitted very well into it, I think.
Yeah. The photos are strangely photoshopped because Lucy, if you go by the timeline given in the show, Lucy in May, and the Miss Twin Peaks was at the end of March. Mm-hmm. So that means within 2 months, like he was like a 4 month preemie.
Yeah,
like he wasn't even like a 9 month, so he wasn't even like a real baby. He was like a Eraserhead baby.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm pretty sure he's Dick's kid and not Andy's kid. So.
Yeah, pretty sure. Yeah, for sure.
But I think
it's almost, you know what it is. It's almost like Kicking the Hill with Dale and his son and John Redcorn. It's like it's Redcorn's kid, but no one says anything.
Yeah.
Well, I think the whole thing of The Return is this idea of recreating, what Twin Peaks was, and then in trying to do that, there's this sort of malfunctioning throughout the entirety of The Return. We never get the real Cooper, really. I mean, apart from in a couple of scenes, I think. And this idea of even recreating Andy and Lucy and their dynamic. I mean, when you think about it, they've been working in there for the last 25 years, and there's a phone call where Gordon Cole rings up Lucy, and she says she's been to holiday in Bora Bora. If you look at Bora Bora, it is actually a place that has its own Twin Peaks, as well as being a double name. And it's like, and Gordon Cole just goes quiet when he's speaking to her, almost as if he's aware that there's something not quite right here. Just as if there's something not right throughout the entirety of The Return. Like, there's not one shot of an owl in Twin Peaks. There's not one shot of like misty trees with rain coming through them. Nobody, properly enjoys some nice cherry pie or anything like that. Like, even Shelley says, "Oh, I'll put some squirty cream on it for you," or something. Like, it just sounds like, and Becky's like, It just sounds so kind of like deliberately fake, like it doesn't feel like that sincerity, like when Cooper was there initially, and he's like, this pie, I'm gonna shit myself.
It was so genuine. Both
he didn't say that.
But I think there's a reason for it. It's because the doppelganger's out, Cooper's in the lodge, the world is askew. It's it's just it's just a different world.
Unnatural. It's sort of almost manufactured, like the whole thing with the double R, and we get these scenes where Norma and that guy is just talking about, she says, I want to use organic ingredients and everything, and he says, well, it obviously would be cheaper to use more affordable ones, and if you're going to have a chain of restaurants and stuff, and I think those scenes are a little bit more memorable, especially with having had Peggy Lipton pass away, and they're almost like the most soap opera-ish scenes within The Return. That actor, I think he's quite well known in America from soap operas and things like that.
No, he was on a show called 8 is Enough when I was a kid.
Oh, okay. Well, not soap operas then, but that's like a sitcom, right?
Well, it's just like, why did they get the I'm going to say stewardess, the woman who played Julie in The Love Boat for one scene in the apartment building where Becky shoots Steven's door? It's like they filmed that in the Pacific Northwest. So they flew up the actors from The Love Boat, put her up.
You mean the neighbor?
The neighbor
who opened the door.
I mean,
she's not here. She's not here. Or something.
Yeah, she's from The Love Boat. So they brought up somebody to the Pacific Northwest, put them up in a hotel to shoot that one thing. Why didn't they just get a local hire?
Well, there's so much of that in it, like in the Las Vegas scenes, which obviously was shot in California, of the actress who's known for a lot of 80s films. Is it Meg Foster? Or?
Yeah, but that's different. They filmed that in Los Angeles, so she just popped over, did her thing, and left. We're talking about bringing an actress to the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah,
but there are a lot of actors in it that you think, like when I heard that Richard Chamberlain was going to be in it, who I knew from like
the Thornburg,
Alan Quaterman's Mines or something from the 80s, or I think he was in those. Like, he's a famous actor to some people, at least, and he's literally in one scene that just seems completely like there's so many scenes that seem separate from the whole thing. It's like separate but whole. That kind of thing.
when the original show was on, it was like Beamer and Russ Tamblyn, and it's like, oh, we're gonna have a West Side Story reunion,
or fractured but whole. I mean,
but they still like used those actors in a way that brought out their best talents, right? Jacoby and Warren were fantastic.
I don't know about Jerry. His arc was sort of going into this sort of manic.
I'm talking about the original show.
Oh, I mean, in this one, like the show just went out of control in that it sort of divided Ben and Jerry, and Ben was actually far more reasonable than he used to be, whereas Jerry had gone off into this sort of manic freak out kind of thing, which was just like a sort of glorified example of somebody, being into smoking, weed, but it was obviously like a joke. It wasn't.
I don't know any weed that you smoked or put on the trip that he had. He was on for days in the water, nothing, even dehydrated.
Dude, he went running around across like hundreds of miles across the country, and then it was found nude.
Well, he doesn't even realize he just witnessed his own nephew being killed.
Do you think? Okay, a question. Do you think he was killed, or do you think he was transported somewhere else? Just a small question.
I think he got fried alive. I mean,
fried alive. Okay.
I mean, I was hoping he'd be in the Black Lodge, or something. But
something like that. Okay, yeah. Just a quick little thought.
We never see him again, so I'm going to assume he got
You got that makes
Destroyed.
sense from a lot.
I mean, he does say goodbye, my son, not I'll see you later.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's true. Goodbye. Yeah.
He's more like an electrical. He's sort of zapped really in the end, and so if rather than having any remnants of him at all, it's like as if he was literally almost like a thought form, tulpa creation, just as a lot of really, Mr. C could be described the same thing, really. Like one interesting thing in that the last episode of Twin Peaks: The Return is when the episode opens with Mr. C on fire, it's not actually like a shot of Kyle MacLachlan sitting there. It's like a still image of him. So it's all like this kind of building of an image. Like Mr. C is never really a believable character in the normal sense. He just sort of gets out of jail by the most sort of unbelievable way.
Well, like how come in Fire Walk with Me, after Kyle says, who knows where or when, and it cuts to the Twin Peaks sign and it says 1 year later, it's not a shot. Like it's a still image.
Yeah.
Right. Just like whenever they show the outside of Twin Peaks High School in the show, it's a still image. Like you would think they would just like film a shot and then do the
There are shots of the Twin Peaks High School sign where it kind of does this as, like in Fire Walk with Me, there's quite a bit of sort of juddery filmmaking, like.
Yeah,
and I even saw some critics kind of pick on it and say, like, Lynch didn't even remove the hair from the gate in this shot. But I never noticed a still image of the high school. But the business with the Twin Peaks sign, you'd think that they would film an actual shot there. You're saying that's a still image.
Yeah,
they did film a shot apparently, but they just used.
But why make it into a still image? So it's like because Lynch did these things deliberately. Like he swapped the portrait of Laura. With another portrait that was taken at the same time, I imagine, obviously of Cheryl Lee,
right?
Or it might have been a different year. I don't know. It's just
everything is flipped. We've talked about this. Everything's flipped.
What is really strange as well, actually, when I was thinking about it, in Twin Peaks: The Return, we never get the famous shot or any photographic, shot of Laura, lying there with the sort of sand in her hair and on her face like blue and the kind of almost blue rosish. It's never, we only get the shots of Laura as high school student. So it's almost like there's some strange form of like, not necessarily rewriting history, but denial, really.
The fact that they repeat the image from the pilot showing them unwrapping her when it really should have been, us being Laura's viewpoint and Michael Onkeen and Doc Hayward unwrapping.
Oh, you mean in Fire Walk with Me?
Yeah, at the end. It should be them unwrapping us. And honestly, the whole first part of before I even got to Laura, instead of it just being the last 7 days, it honestly really should have been the life of Laura Palmer, not just the last 7 days. So we should have seen Leela and Sarah with her as a little girl. And then maybe build it up to the last week, but like kind of give us some perspective as to who this woman is, as opposed to just dropping us in and just assume we already know, which we do. But I'm talking about new people.
I think the slow motion shot of the opening the plastic used from the pilot, and obviously they've probably tinted it and zoomed in a bit or something, but that was evidence of slightly lazy filmmaking for Fire Walk with Me, I would say, which. It's not a perfect film, and that's why I like it. But your idea of a much more expanded view of things would be really good, especially this idea of Laura, as a young child.
I think if they hadn't been in such a rush to get to the can, and maybe plan for a 1994 release instead of a 92 release, I think the film could have benefited from a year or a year and a half of working on it, and because the actors would have been there, right? And I think the film would have been 10 times better for it. I love the movie, but I also know it could be better. So.
Yeah.
But
can we just look? Do you mind having a look at these purchases from Gary? There's a whole bunch of Blu-rays, so we can just go through them and have a quick look. These ones are all obviously Italian
kind of action films, I suppose.
Very cool.
I mean, Syndicate Sadists just definitely sounds good. I've never seen any of these.
Wow. I love the
Um,
artwork. Very cool.
I mean, The Cynic, The Rat, and The Fist. That is a fantastic title.
Oh,
Oh,
everyone knows. That's a classic, that one.
As long as it's not The Cynic, The Rat, and The Fisting, that would be terrible.
Avoid that one, yeah.
Not into that.
Very cool.
As bad as Amityville Glory Hole.
Mafia Mama. My goodness. I do have that Irreversible.
Diabolic Configuration, does that say? I can't remember. I can't even read what it says. Melina is, of course, Gary actually sent me that one.
Is that Madeline
Or a
Stone?
similar one. No, it's Monica Bellucci, who
Oh,
he's a massive fan of. The other two on either side, sorry, I've heard of Brotherhood of the Wolf. I don't know
Yeah,
what the one on the right is.
I've seen
but-
that.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the next one. This is just a close-up of the violent streets. It's not clicking for some reason. There we go.
Hmm.
If I saw that on the shelf
Yeah.
I would immediately purchase that.
It looks like a young Stephen King, like not getting
It
his
does.
cocaine.
Give me my cocaine.
It looks like a man furiously masturbating whilst also holding a gun. It's a sort of that could be something that Voltaire is probably doing right now instead of being on the show. Anyway, these are all more
Oh, Criterion sale.
Gilda, La Ventura, Repulsion. Can't remember. See what that says. up at the
Double
top.
Indemnity. That's a good one. I've seen that one.
Indemnity.
Indemnity.
It's
Sorry. Yeah.
All About Eve, I think, on the left. I don't know what this one is on the right. Very nice. All I can say is, Gary, you've got a lot of films to watch. The Changeling.
Changeling,
Yeah,
wow.
I like The Changeling very much.
I've heard good things about The Driver.
Yeah, that's a 70s sort of thriller, I think. High Crime, Sunday Woman by the looks. New Order, not about the band New Order, I imagine, but could be to do with something German by the sounds of it.
Here, let's show this. Enough of this art house nonsense. Let's get to real cinema.
Well, let me just take this off the screen for a second because there's a few. There's quite a few.
I love the artwork.
I just picked up the Steelbook set of all 6 Transformers.
Oh my god! Wow, look at that. It's literally a steel. Wow.
like nice too. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, enough of this Umberto Lenzi stuff here. Let's
What is that? Transformers?
yeah, let's dive into the look at that.
Wow.
Well, I've heard some people say that the first Transformers film is actually decent.
Well, you know.
So
I mean, Shia LaBeouf and what's her name? Megan
Fox.
greatest chemistry in the history of cinema.
Yeah, I'd say so. It should be replicated in every film from here on.
is that a joke or obviously?
You think I'm being serious?
No.
Yeah.
I can't really imagine that they would get on that well, to be honest, for some reason.
That
Half of the movie
yeah.
is Shia looking, and you see Megan Fox's neck to her
Mhm.
hips. That's all she's framed at for most of the movie, and then you just see his head in between. You know.
All right, so it's basically the whole film is showing off her physique,
Yeah.
and he's just there as like the main guy, basically.
Yeah. Pretty much.
How many of the films was he in then?
He's in 3, and then Mark Wahlberg takes over for 2 of them, and then
which is hilarious.
and they just never pretend that they all, they're in the same story.
Each
Bumblebee
one
just-
is like a retelling.
Bumblebee
dies
is like
every
a total, I don't know. I guess back in the day you'd call him a slut. I mean, he just bounces around to owner the whole time.
and he constantly dies and is brought back. It's hilarious. I don't know why.
What about, is it also
Videodrome.
Bumblebee included in
that,
there?
I
Yeah.
highly recommend to everybody to see Videodrome. Highly recommend that.
All right.
The Lighthouse
Johnny,
is
would you put that in your top 5 most erotic movies ever made?
excellent. Most weird? Yeah, there is a category for that. Yeah, for
I've heard
sure.
really good things about the All Quiet on the Western
I
Front.
must say, I don't find it erotic at all. Being like bound next to a sort of massive wall of electrified clay is not my thing personally. But
Yeah.
Well,
if you're
Debbie,
into that, fine.
but
man,
Debbie
yeah.
Harry did wear a shirt in the 80s and said, "I killed Laura Palmer." So,
Yes, I did see that picture. At first, I thought it was Photoshop because it was so cool. I'm like, what the fuck?
all right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I need to see Infinity Pool, Megan, and
I've heard good things about Pearl.
I
I
haven't watched it yet.
saw Megan in the cinema.
Yeah, but this is the R-rated
Unseen,
version.
yeah, like this is the full out, yeah.
Well, yeah, I did think that the version in the cinema was almost like they've deliberately cut bits out of this to sort of so they can just put more in to the release on that, because it's not really that much of Megan in it.
No,
And like people are going to see the robot girl, aren't they? You know.
yeah. It's got that AI vibe, from the early 2000s.
But
It has got this nice guy in it called Brian Alvarez. He's a good comedian on YouTube. So I think he's Canadian. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
He's gay. He's gay, by the way.
Cameron, going to the worst chemistry ever on film, would you say the worst was in Terminator Genesis? It was Jive Courtney and the girl from Game of Thrones. They had probably one of the worst chemistries I've ever seen.
Okay, it was so bad that the next Terminator movie redid the last one.
Yeah. You could like these people.
I actually thought that Dark Fate was half decent. I would say
that's the sixth one.
Dark Fate is okay as a film. I mean, I know that even Schwarzenegger is sort of like always a bit critical of all of them, but I think he just wants to make another one. So
I mean,
I think Dark Fate was decent like that. I forgot what her name is, the actress, but as the female Terminator, she was decent.
Yeah, she was in Blade Runner.
Like they're all decent in a way, but
yes,
I mean,
but come on, Terminator Genesis is not decent.
No, but I would trade them all in just to have 1 and 2 be alone.
Yep, I agree.
Terminator Genesis. I started to watch it again, and I was just like, actually, the starting and everything is quite okay.
Is good, yeah.
But then as soon as Amelia Clark comes in, and she's got these like really big chip.
Come with me if you want to.
You're just like, what's going off?
That's what I mean, James. Her chemistry with Jai Courtney, I forget his name.
Yeah, but I don't even like Jai Courtney that much, to be honest.
No, he's always a blank of wood in every movie. If it's Suicide Squad, everything's just a blank, just him.
Yeah, but at least he was somewhat decent in Suicide Squad.
Yes, yeah.
Catalog model.
I agree with that.
Catalog model sporting the latest Y-fronts, but he's not like going to win an Oscar, is he? But that's not really the point of him as an actor. The point is
sometimes longevity or
just be in shit films.
Hey, it doesn't matter if your check clears.
Yeah, true.
I'm not joking, obviously. I mean, just look at like Terminator. What's it called? Salvation. That was not.
No. Well, when you're directed by somebody named Mick G, it's going to be
Mick G at it again. Just should have called it. What's it called, Cameron? When it's Smithy?
But his first Charlie's Angels movie is really good, but the second one's terrible.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but you don't kind of go from he did the Charlie's Angel films to we'll get him for a Terminator film.
Terminator. I see Terminator all over the.
And I mean, the special effects and all that were good in it. Christian Bale was fine and everything, but it just feels like a spin-off TV movie or something.
The problem is that they wanted Christian Bale to play the Terminator, and then he said, "Oh, I want to be John Connor," and then they had to rewrite the whole script so that John Connor was a character in the movie, and that's the problem.
Yeah. Anyway,
okay.
How do you feel about everything with the writer strike and now the actor strike?
I hope they burn Hollywood down and rebuild it
just from the scratch. Start.
I mean, they need to. I mean, we need to go back to just the mid-budget little, $10 million movies. I mean, Wild at Heart and Fire Walk with Me were made for $10 million. I mean,
that's incredible.
We don't need to make $1 million Netflix movies or $300 million blockbusters with nothing in between. I mean. We need to be able to make the 500,000. I mean, what was it? Friday the 13th was made for $700,000.
Wow.
Would that ever get a 500 screen opening again? No, that wouldn't. We need to get back to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Ideally, I mean, it can't be done overnight, but I think when they see like the figures coming in eventually for the latest Mission Impossible, and they've put in so much effort to the film and marketing as well in particular, and then people are just not coming out in droves for it. They must get the impression like we've got to try something new, and like, okay, nothing's new under the sun, but it's the methods with which the films are made. And also, like, say David Lynch was given Dune after making the Elephant Man, for instance, or the Elephant Man after making Eraserhead. That would never happen today. You would never get someone making a like student essentially film like Eraserhead, then suddenly be given like, okay, make a really big, and like to the point where Anthony Hopkins was like, who is this guy?
Elephant Man,
You know,
wouldn't even be made a feature film. It would be a 6-part Netflix miniseries.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
yeah, but all by different directors
Yeah.
who none of us have heard of. So
Yeah.
that's how it all is now. Like everything is just like you never heard of the directors. There might be films that come out, and I'm sure that are really good, B movies, so called, but you've never heard of the directors. There's not the names coming out that there were like.
I mean, by the time
in the 80s.
Scorsese and Coppola made the movies that you remember them for, they had already made like 5 or 6 movies before that.
Wow.
And that's the thing is like movie directors today aren't given like a 5 or 6 movie warm-up period, you know, before they can, you know, fire on all cylinders. It's like you gotta do the Tarantino Reservoir Dogs right out of the gate, blow everybody away. Or you don't get
everything just strikes you as like right now the ideas for films are just so being made by like literally accountants, you know, and so
they don't
very bad accountants because they're not even bringing in the return that
they don't even call it films or TV shows anymore. They just call it content.
You're right. Yeah.
You know, it's just kind of like it doesn't matter. It's just is something on the air, then good. That's all that matters, you know.
Very much a lack of quality control. Yeah.
Well, also, it's like, say, if you look at a TV show, like they've made a new Quantum Leap on Paramount. I had a look at the first episode.
Yeah, same.
It's
here.
like it's not even got the same theme music from the original.
No.
It's nothing like the original show.
No,
it just looks like they're on a Hollywood backlot most of the time.
Which
in these kind of car scenes, like it's just so redundant and kind of.
And for me, it's always like, what is the story?
Exciting about it?
Yeah, I agree with this. Like, for me, it's like these shows. Like, what is the story? What are you trying to tell?
At the end, in memory of Dean Stockwell, it comes up like literally for about 1.5 seconds. Like, oh, that's a great tribute. Thanks. So, like, instead of having him in, it's like a woman doing his role, which I have no issue with whoever plays them or anything like that. But she's not even got the same kind of device as he used to have. Similar, it looked kind of interesting and at least a bit kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know, just imaginative. Like she literally looks like she's holding an Apple iPhone or something to zap him through time. Like this is completely tedious. There's nothing. I don't understand what they're trying to do. Are they trying to make it to appeal to Chinese people? I don't know.
Too sure. And then
I don't believe
thing everyone's going to be complaining about is the new Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
And that almost sounds like prejudicial on my part. But
I don't know if you guys seen any of the new photos of the new Snow White, but that's going to be the next thing people are going to go off on.
I mean, Gary North, I don't agree with that at all.
No, I think like calling like them not dwarves is pretty mild. You know, you could still make a good film out of these things, but like the fact that we're like grown men discussing Snow White. I mean, it's not really. We're not really the aimed. Like, I'm not going to be there on the first day, am I? Like, I'll have one for Snow White and the.
But just on the subject of how.
But you were there the first day for Spice World, though, weren't you?
Oh.
Well, I did go and see Spice World with my friend in 1997. Yes.
Now, see, Spice World.
I actually saw that when I was a young kid.
I got to tell you, that movie. I looked at the credits for that movie, and I said, this is going to be one of these like underseen gems, and it's really not. But but the reason why is because they had oh my god, what's the guy's name from
Richard E. Grant?
Well, there's that
Bob.
No, the guy who did Rocky Horror, Richard Bryan. Richard Bryan was in it, and it was directed by the guy who made all the episodes of Fawlty Towers. And I thought this is going to be fantastic.
Wow.
And it's so not fantastic.
No, yeah.
No, but just because you can make a good comedy show or on TV, like that doesn't mean that you're going to make a good film about the Spice Girls. I mean,
I don't know. I just thought it'd be kind of. They just took the Hard Day's Night kind of vibe for it. It
looked like really outdated by the time it had even come out, and it was like it was filmed on celluloid and everything. It had these kind of whip zooms into, and it just looked like Was this made in 1987, not 1997? It was.
So
It had that kind of vibe.
there is a
Yeah.
rumor. There is a rumor going around. Well, there's a couple of them actually. One is that Max, in retaliation, has pulled the Snyder Cut off their streaming platforms.
Whoa.
And you don't want to piss off Zack Snyder fans. And then, second of all, I've also heard that this is going to partly end with Warner Brothers being sold as parts to Disney. So they're going to own DC and Marvel.
Are you
Yeah.
okay? There's no conflict of interest or monopoly laws against
No.
that?
No.
Really? Wow.
No, Disney could own everything and that'd be it. I mean,
I don't understand what the retaliation Snyder business.
because it's like, oh, you're going to go on strike. We're going to take things away from you.
Oh, I see.
Which
Yeah,
is
but I mean,
ridiculous.
who cares about that? I mean, the Snyder Cut is completely tedious.
No, it's actually fantastic.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't find that. Just for like 4 hours.
Yeah, so
It's
what?
like, why does it have to all be in 4:3 ratio? Jesus wept. It's like Snyder somehow thinks he's a great director. Or something.
Gary Norris
I
says,
don't mind that ratio. but
after
I
a
know
few
some
weeks
people
of a
don't
film on streaming, people have less incentive to go see it at the cinema. I'm going to say something really controversial. I hope the movie theater experience ultimately goes away.
Yeah, I felt that for a while just because of the prices and.
Well, not just that, but the people there are annoying, and I think it should be reserved for like really special like event shows.
Well, I'm lucky in that I can go at 10 a.m. But
Yeah.
like, you know, it's not enjoyable sometimes being in a kind of completely empty theatre or nearly empty. But I don't think they'll completely go away. But there's definitely the likelihood that ones will close.
Yeah, I mean, when I hear
Yeah.
directors say I only make movies for the big screen, I'm like, oh my god! Like, how about just make a movie for any screen?
Yeah.
Phantom Cooper says only man children care about the Snyder Cut.
I knew you
Well,
were gonna
I'm
say
sorry. I mean, you know, listen. If maybe I'll talk about Gem and the Holograms, and that will make you feel better.
So anyways, instead of always lashing out, Phantom Cooper, say what you think. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not saying I did watch the entirety of the Snyder Cut, but the thing is, and it certainly had some good set pieces and all that kind of thing. But I mean, 4 hours, it's a bit
So
much.
what? So what? It's on streaming. You can hit pause.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying. And I mean, it could have been better as a 4-part, thing, 1 hour each.
They couldn't do it because they would have to pay all the actors individually for every episode. So they had to.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Different
That
contract.
shows you just how money dictates everything for the
for
worst.
real.
But Snyder has got something new coming out, though, hasn't he?
Yeah.
A film. What's
Yeah.
it called?
I don't know.
Does
Something
he?
on Netflix.
It's not Amityville Glory Hole.
No. But that would be amazing.
I was looking forward to seeing that in IMAX and 3D.
He's gonna put out. He's gonna do a new cut of not Super Fuzz. What is that movie? Yes, Sucker Punch.
Oh, yeah, Sucker Punch. Yeah.
Well, I've never even seen it, so I would have another opportunity to watch it and not watch it. No, I'm only joking.
Yeah.
But like
That's
seriously,
yeah.
if Amityville Glory Hole is not in one of those 5D cinemas that have come out now, where you get like wind coming at you and stuff, and then they could have actual fake, obviously not real, ejaculate coming at you and stuff.
I knew you were
and
gonna go. Oh my god!
It's like keep your mouth closed now, and
Glasses on, goggles, people.
Davrin would be in the front seats, wanking himself silly.
He'd be singing to himself, "Give it to me, baby."
Something like that.
Because Davern is pretty fly for a white guy.
Yeah.
But I think the film would be
Little
better
weird
if you had those like moving seats as well, so it was like shaking you around.
Yeah, it's kind of like when I'm on the Tulpa forum and I'm reading Davern's comments.
So, whoa.
No, but there are literally cinemas like that now, not in my area, but
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, like, how many ways now are they finding?
Do you go to the
trying-
cinema? Do you go to the cinemas, James, and say to the ticket lady, "Do you got the D?"
No, I'm pretty careful about not saying anything that's just going to seem ridiculous. So,
Join me.
I mean, I do ask for a pint of tap water, and then the last time she says,
That's
"Sorry,
the
I've only got a coffee cup. Do you want a coffee cup of tap water?"
You're one of those cheapskates at the movies. You buy a ticket and you're like, "Can I get a cup of water?"
No, I just drink it. I just drink it all
Wow.
in front of them, and
That's
I go,
it.
"Thanks."
Yeah, those are the cheap.
And then they look at me like this.
Well, what's worse, that or bringing in your own snacks, or just carrying?
No,
them?
they
I don't
with
care
doing
if
that
you
when
bring
I
in
go.
your own snacks. I do care if you don't pick up your own snacks.
Oh, for sure, yeah. If you
Yeah,
whatever you
yeah,
take
clear
in,
up
you
after
take
yourself.
out. That's
Now,
great.
I don't think that
And
I don't
clean
think
the seats.
I don't think
after
you
as
should
well.
be kicking popcorn bags down the rows, but I'm okay if you leave your popcorn bag on the floor and not throw it out, because otherwise you have to like send part of your workforce home if there's no work for them to do. Right?
Yeah, I will say though, like if you're like Davrin and you both, I mean, I have a problem sometimes with soiling myself, but also ejaculating in the cinema when you're watching something like Oppenheimer. Like, clean the seats with some wet wipes, which you should carry with yourself at all times.
Yeah.
Post-COVID, because it still exists.
They should just make a giant seat wipe. You just put it over the whole seat as you sit down. You
Yeah,
just
and
sit
use
on
one of
it.
those things on your head, those like lamps that you go if you're going caving or something, so you can get, but ideally get one of those ones that shows, the colour up for the shows, like if there's semen on stuff or not. Semen
the
stains.
blue light. Yeah.
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 Get a blue light and then look on the seats. So it's quite surprising in cinemas if you use one of those. They're absolutely covered.
Yes. See, this is what Cameron's talking about. Why they got to go away. It's so disgusting.
I mean, I actually went to see Two Moon Junction originally in the cinema.
Oh dang.
And that was quite an experience, let me say.
Mm.
There was, basically there was a lot of finger banging
Oh geez.
and muff diving.
Oh wow.
I think the next progression could be...
That was just during the trailers.
I don't know. Do you think theaters would go to the way of virtual reality? I.e., like you sit in a seat, but then you put on something and you see the movie.
Well, you go to Disneyland and do that all the time when you're floating over.
But
the
why
Grand
would you have
Canyon.
to go to a cinema to go to
Exactly, that's what I'm
reality?
thinking too. Well, you know what, James? If you didn't own the actual virtual,
Oh yeah, I suppose
it
there'd
was
be
like top notch.
If it was like the 90s, you'd still have like shops and stuff, like when you
Yeah.
used to have internet shops.
You know
I used
what-
to like those.
You know what
Yeah,
friends
yeah,
of
those are
mine,
cool, yeah.
Johnny, you know what friends of mine used to do back in the late 90s when we were running movie theaters back in the day.
Mhm.
They would, they have like those video projection machines, right?
Yeah.
And it's like for people who don't have film prints, you would just rent one of those machines from the theater, whatever, and then you would like put in your VCR tape or your DVD and project it, right?
Mhm.
Well, they would come in after hours or like right after we closed up, and they would start hooking up their PS2s to that thing.
Oh,
So like
wow.
on the big screen, you could play
Oh,
their
my
their
goodness.
video games.
That's awesome. That's actually
Yeah.
very cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
Never heard of that kind of stuff.
that's very cool.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
But I do remember seeing, we were watching an episode of On the Air on the big screen when I was in the audience with Ian Buchanan. And then I went in a lift with him afterwards and he just kept looking at me quite intently. I don't know why.
Did you make a comment or did you laugh at a wrong point or something?
No, I think I did keep looking round when I was
Oh.
watching the film.
Hmm.
Well, watching On the Air. And
How
then I was
obvious
like,
were you?
and I was like thinking, that's actually Ian Buchanan who's in this.
Yeah.
And then I was looking at the screen, he was speaking, and I could hear him laughing quite raucously at some of the bits, and he was shouting, "That's me in this, you know." It's-
Maybe he wanted you to ask for an autograph. Maybe he was expecting it.
no, he was quite like ebullient, but he wasn't shouting, "That's me in it." I could hear him laughing though. And that building
I asked
has
him
been
about
demolished
that.
now.
You know that, James? When I interviewed him, I asked him about that because you told me that, and
I think so, yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, it was so funny because I hadn't seen it in so long."
Yeah, i.e., I've never seen it since.
Well, here's the thing: they showed the
I've
pilot.
never seen it.
They showed the pilot, which is fantastic. They should have shown like episode 4, and nobody would be laughing. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone would be like,
Yes.
is this just like supposed to be really surreal and dark, or what? Or is it just crap? No, I mean, the middle
No.
episodes are sort of off, but the final episode is really great.
okay,
So-
I actually I've never seen the final episode. After
Yeah,
episode
it's directed by Jack Fisk.
yeah,
Where
after
would you
episode
find
3
it if you wanted to?
It's on YouTube. I
Probably
think.
on YouTube, but it's not very good quality. That's the trouble.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I have the
Mark
laser
Frost
display.
made a joke that they were going to put the episodes on the
Season
Return box set,
Yeah.
which didn't happen. But I think that would have been a joke, like in an ideal world. But the CBS would probably be like, no, I don't think so.
Now-
nobody's going to buy it for that reason, hardly. So
Why? What do you think they're gonna? What do you think Criterion's gonna add to this 4K box set they're doing? I think
all the deleted scenes with Red just like hanging around the Palmer house, probably.
I sadly think it's just going to be a 1-to-1. It's just going to be a 4K release. That's it.
you don't think they're gonna do anything different from the Z to A box set?
I don't think so.
Well, then why would anyone?
I
buy
find
it?
it difficult to
Why would
even
buy it?
understand that Twin Peaks: The Return was even filmed in 4K. Really,
It probably was filmed in 8K, and they downscaled it.
Yeah.
well, if you look at the quality of it on Paramount, the quality looks really great. So I don't really see the point in this 4K business. It's not surprising the way Twin Peaks is because it's such a cult thing. So
In order to just take it over the top, we're talking deleted scenes from season 3, an all new Lynch cut of Fire Walk with Me. I want all the bumpers and promos from the original series. Like when it instead of it just fading out and fading back into the show, I want to get the Lucy, hang on tight, Twin Peaks will be right back.
Oh, it's going to include everything, is it?
Oh, that would be
season
amazing.
1, 2,
That'd be
and
the
3.
full experience.
basically.
Wow.
The movie and season 3, everything. It's gonna be the
That would
whole
be
Z box.
incredible.
All
It's
in
going to be
4K.
really expensive then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
time for a sale.
If it's not going to be, if it's not got anything really good extra, then I just fail to understand why you keep reissuing these things like this.
Is it part of copyright? Do they have to do it every so often to keep just
No,
the licensing?
Not this often. Come on, the Z
That's
to A
too
one
often,
came
right?
out like literally 3 years ago,
if I had
Wow,
known they were gonna
so-
pull it so fast, I would have bought like 5 copies of that.
and it was all broken when people opened up the inside. Like,
Oh, man.
they're still selling. Those sets are still selling for $600-700 a set.
Whew,
oh my god,
that's remarkable.
it's like people are just sort of treating them like some kind of collectible car or something. That's way too expensive for just simple Blu-rays and.
Oh, no,
$1,500
Dan Peak says it's going to have
for a
commentary by Twin Perfect. Oh my God, no.
Yeah, but his commentary on each episode would go on like much longer than the episode.
It runs out of.
I found out the secrets of the pilot episode of Twin Peaks. The whole thing is about TV, yeah? Get it?
Get it? It's a show. Wink, wink.
It's about me. I'm a ginger twat, okay? But I'm allowed to say that. Both my sister and brother are ginger, and I've got some ginger pubes. So
Hey, did you notice online that Eric Idle and the remaining Pythons are like all feuding with John Cleese right now?
well, it's not really
Why-
surprising
what
because
did
John
John
Cleese
Cleese
is
say something?
like the biggest gammon.
John Cleese apparently owns the rights to the Life of Brian musical, and he cut out Eric Idle's song "Always Look on the Bright Side of Life," which is the whole point of the movie.
Oh wow.
And so Eric Idle's super pissed about it.
It's a shame they can't get on with each other, really, when they've all got their own specific talents. I don't think John Cleese is necessarily
Was Terry Jones truly the glue that held them all together?
I don't know, but I think that John Cleese was a good performer, but I don't know about the rest. So
He's doing a new Faulty Towers too.
Wow.
yeah, obviously it's going to end up being completely different, probably, and it's hardly going to have him in it. But yeah, I don't understand the point of that unless he's in it like 100%. It just doesn't make sense to me. Don't forget about how you look now. We know you don't look anything like you did in the original one, where you were like just a beanpole. Just be in it and do the best you can. Like Connie Booth is still alive, I think.
Are they talking though?
Prunella Scale, probably not the way he carries on. He just seems to want to annoy everybody on Twitter. Suddenly chime in with his political views about this, that, or the other, which nobody even cares about anyway. But everybody has to have an opinion, don't they, now, when they're on Twitter? So,
the greatest thing he probably will ever be associated with is the Fish Called Wanda.
yeah, I will agree on
Yeah,
that. That's
that's a good one.
Definitely
Yeah.
something I watched not so long ago, in fact, and really thought it
Yeah,
was,
same here.
stood up, even though it wasn't remastered or anything. That wasn't in 4K. So why do we have to get this massive, all these TV shows coming out in 4K? Get Fish Called Wanda. I mean, never mind Fish Called Wanda. What about Fierce Creatures 4K?
You know, that
That's-
movie was shot twice. That's why there's 2 different directors credited.
Wow.
Not surprised, really. It's I mean, it doesn't really count as a proper sequel to Fresh Called Wanda. It's more like I don't know what you call it. Just like the same characters, but a completely different film,
Now,
really.
I will not rest, especially because Robbie Coltrane passed away. I will not rest until Vinegar Syndrome puts out a 4K of Nuns on the Run.
Yeah, director's commentary. If the director's still alive, or at least commentary from someone.
I've read that
Just
that's,
anybody.
that's one of the last handmade films. George Harrison walked away after that.
Wow.
Not surprising. I mean, that film did not. It wasn't like a big hit. There was quite a few British comedies around that. There's actually a really good one called The Tall Guy with Jeff Gold. Was that Jeff Goldblum?
Yeah, that's the one with Emma Thompson naked in it.
And they're like
Really?
kind of having sex on a piano, as you do. So,
As you do. Yeah.
and it's like it's not a bad film for what it is.
No.
It's set in London or something. And I remember seeing that at the cinema. And then there were a lot of ones like How to Get Ahead in Advertising.
Oh yeah.
You know, the classics like you mentioned, Nuns on the Run. I mean, that was just
I mean, if
people
we
were
did a double
flocking
feature,
out to see that.
we do a double feature of Nuns on the Run and We're No Angels with Robert De Niro and Sean Penn.
It probably was inspired in some weird way. Like, oh, they're making this film called We're No Angels with okay, yeah, we can do it where we get a rotund Scottish kind of comical actor, and they get an Eric Idle, and then they're basically in a shower looking at some nude women as nuns.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that literally a scene? It's like
Yeah. Gary North, the uncut version is coming out to America pretty soon.
and I was like, that's the only reason to watch this film when I was young, but maybe it's better now. I don't know.
I just remembered the trailer. The trailer was hilarious when I was a kid, and I was like, I mean, Fish Called Wanda was like the thing that really, everyone talks about the Python movies, but their first one, and that was kind of a compilation of the show, and now for something completely different. That was the one that got me into the show, and then Fish Called Wanda is what. Yeah. I mean, I just thought. I mean, Kevin Kline became a hero to me after that movie.
He's a comedic genius. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was quite young, I was watching Monty Python on video, but it was the films, like The Meaning of Life, which was, many people said it wasn't their best by any means, but I thought it was pretty good, especially when I was young, I suppose. Mr. Creosote and his eat. I eat pretty much in the same manner as him now. So,
would you like a thin wafer?
Oh yeah, an after 8 minutes. Yes, please. It's a bit dark, isn't it? The Meaning of Life, but it's certainly pretty enjoyable. But it's not as good as.
I agree with them that the problem with it is just it's a collection of sketches. If they had figured out just a through line story to put those sketches on, it would have been better. But I mean, I'm sorry, the Every Sperm is Sacred scene is just one of the great musical numbers. It's so well done. And that, I mean, and then when they're disemboweling the guy, I mean, what the it's it's so the thing about Meaning of Life is it's so Eric Idle calls it punk rock, and it is in a way. It's so violent, that movie.
Yeah, but it was ideal for me as a fairly young. I mean, I suppose I would have been about, I don't know, early teens or something, and seeing something like that, it was just this is really entertaining,
Sure.
And just I'd never seen anything quite like that before, someone eating till they literally explode. It's just, I mean, for a young person, that's your ideal viewing.
Yeah.
Because it's the sort of thing then at school, did you see The Meaning of Life? With when he explodes. Just have one. Yes, just one of those after 8 minutes, please. Yes, I saw it. I do remember though when this is probably more later on in the sixth form, and one lad said to me as a joke, "James, you've seen Basic Instinct, right, at the cinema? Did you like it?" And then he said, "Did you get aroused?" And I went, "Yeah, I did a bit actually."
You know that scene where the guy's being chased by all those naked women, and then he falls off the cliff.
Yeah.
So that like they only shot part of that scene, but the whole sketch was that he was on death row, and they gave him the option of like, how would you like to die? And he says being chased by a bunch of naked women off a cliff, and that was his death.
The film is very much like, I think it was about 1983, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it's sort of matte painting and very old-fashioned style.
I love matte paintings.
Special effects, etc.
And Terry Gilliam's whole short, which was made for the movie, and they said, no, this is too good. Pull it out of the movie and put it up front. It's like, what? It doesn't make any sense, you know?
Yeah, the film feels like it was not finished almost, which probably is the case, really.
Yeah,
what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
I think they ran out of budget, basically.
I don't even think they started. I mean, it's like
was it Terry Gilliam that went on to direct Brazil and Fear and Loathing? Or okay, awesome.
Yeah. But I mean, he came out right before he did
Time
Meaning of
Bandits.
Life. He had just done Time Bandits, which is one of my favorites. So.
that was one I liked as a
youngster
as well.
Wow, okay, I gotta check that out.
It does have small people in it.
But John Cleese is Robin Hood, you know? It's just hilarious.
That's awesome. Wow.
Have you ever seen that, Johnny?
No, I gotta definitely check
Time
it
Bandits is one of the great, like, it's so, like, I guess you could say it's a family film, but it's like very subversive and very dark and very funny.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Terry Gilliam. So
you would love it. It's like almost like a Monty Python movie because like half of them are in it.
That's great. That's great. I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Good. I mean, it's very well done visually as well.
Yeah. So
it feels like it was finished rather than Meaning of Life a bit.
So the story, real quick, Johnny, is about a young kid who a bunch of little people like storm into his room, and they're literally time bandits. So what they do is they go to one time, steal from somebody like Napoleon, and then go to another time so that they can't ever find him. And then like at one point, Robin Hood robs them. And then like other times they're on the Titanic, and then they're fighting Satan.
That's great. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so all right, that's great. I'm sold on it.
But it's really and Sean Connery's in it. It's so good.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as is always the case with Terry Gilliam's films, he tends to make them not short either, like it's nearly 2 hours. But now, you know, when you look at how long films are getting, it sort of makes you wonder, really.
Yeah,
they fired their editors or something.
I mean, the thing is, though, is that you don't want to be charged $27.
David Warner is in Time Bandits.
Who?
David Warner from Twin Peaks and The Omen.
Oh, he's so good in this movie as Satan.
So
no way. Wow.
Well, he just says evil genius, but I mean, maybe I'm not completely. There's a character actor Neil McCarthy who plays Second Robber. Remember
and then Shelley Duvall's in it, and
is she?
Yeah, she's always with Michael Palin.
The cast is massive.
Yeah.
It's got Jim Broadbent in an early role. There's a character in it called Horseflesh.
And it's got some of the most imaginative set pieces, and the movie was made for like $1, you know. But it's just so good.
That just shows you how great these directors are. How they can take the smallest budget and just make magic out of it. You know,
I'm not kidding you, Johnny. Like, check it out, and you'll probably make videos about it for a week.
My next song is.
It was all probably filmed at somewhere like Shepperton or
that's
like,
cool.
but I mean, it probably would have cost quite a lot, relatively speaking. But I think they sort of like did it as well as they could.
Let me see what the budget is here. Okay, it was $5 million US, which is like nothing.
Even with inflation, it'd be closer to say 10-ish, maybe
20 or something.
Or something, maybe. Yeah.
I can imagine it would be a fair amount, but the fact that they were doing it in this country would have obviously helped. And like, there's no way all of these actors in it would have been getting immense paydays.
No,
so,
they would have just done it just for the sake of.
I mean, this was 1981. Then they made Meaning of Life in '83.
So today it would be 15 million.
15. Wow.
Okay.
It's still not too bad.
About I mean, I don't know. I watched that movie. To me, it's like that movie's like my Wizard of Oz. It's so like you can see when you watch Time Bandits, you'll understand why J.K. Rowling had it in her contract that the first director they go to for the first Harry Potter movie was Terry Gilliam.
That's great. Yeah.
Because he obviously knew how to
Oh, there's actually a Time Bandits TV series.
Oh, there was?
It says here. But with Lisa Kudrow in it. Maybe I'm hallucinating at this point. I don't know. I just never even heard of it.
I mean, I don't know what. I guess Gilliam just burned himself out, but for a while he had quite a run there. So
yeah, I'm sure there's probably some behind the scenes Hollywood maybe pushed him out because he liked.
Well, there is a TV series that with that your favorite director Taika Waititi directing the pilot. Lisa Kudrow will star alongside Kal-El, Tuck, Charlene Yi, who was in Twin Peaks: The Return.
Wow,
probably might be okay, but it's obviously not going to be the same as this film, is it? So there was a script for Time Bandits 2 written in 1996 by Gilliam and Charles McCohen. So, but the sequel was shelved.
Wow, sure.
Well, in that movie, it's a standalone. There's no reason because Time Bandits is about childhood, and then Brazil's about being an adult, and then Munchausen was about being an old man.
Yeah.
So it's the whole.
I saw Munchausen, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen at the cinema as well. So
plus Brazil is like the closest thing we'll ever get
that's
to
a classic in many ways.
Seeing a movie of 1984 on screen.
Yeah,
it's the closest thing ever.
What did you think of Baron Munchausen as a kid? Did you like it? Because that movie.
Well, I wasn't a kid, but I was like,
14.
I was 42 when I saw that film, and I was just getting into adolescence. And
42.
No, I mean, isn't it Sarah Polley when she was very young?
Yeah, she's actually come out against Gilliam for making that movie because he had all these explosions going on around her when she was like 5 years old. So.
Bit too crazy, maybe. But yeah, I liked it. Oh, that's all I remember. I think I only saw it like at the cinema and on video, possibly. Can't remember it that well.
King of the Moon.
It's fairly frenzied, is all I remember about it.
Yeah.
As but it had some good sequences in it for sure. I don't know. I think the film was criticised a bit for maybe being a bit too kind of zany or something. But,
well, I think coming off Brazil, I think people wanted something more sophisticated. But I think it's. I mean, as a spectacle, it's really well done. So, but I mean, he's got.
I remember being impressed by it.
Yeah.
But most things by Gilliam are like that. So
I don't know. The last 10 years have been. I own all of his movies, but the last 10 years have been rough.
What has he done recently, Cameron?
Well, he did Tideland. He did the Brothers Grimm.
Oh, he did that. Wow. Okay.
And then he finally did the Don Quixote movie. Then he did this one called Zero Theorem, which I don't think anybody saw.
No.
With Christoph Waltz.
Oh my goodness.
So he's done like 5 or 6 movies that nobody's watched.
Well, that one looked like quite a big budget film, but
I mean,
relatively speaking.
Yeah, after Fear and Loathing, he just kind of disappeared for a while.
Well, it's partly to do with the kind of films that are being made, and something like that Zero Theorem was sort of aimed more into that kind of films like, I don't know, Majority Report or something, or the other sci-fi ones that are being made now, which there aren't that many, are there really?
And I get that he wants to be, he wants to do his own thing and individualist. Like I totally agree with that. But I would have loved to have seen him just do a movie in phase 1 of Marvel.
Ooh,
like before they even knew what they had. Like Branagh did Thor, right? Like why not? Can you imagine if Terry Gilliam did the Incredible Hulk or something like that?
Or a Thor movie or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't give him Thor 5. You know what I mean? But
no.
But I'm saying before they knew what they had, I could. But he always turns that kind of stuff down, and I get it. But like, if he did one of those movies, the door would fly open for him to do 5 of his movies. So.
Yeah, sometimes you got to bite the bullet and just do one you don't want to do to get the other.
It's not even about doing one you don't want to do. Is you can find one that like the studio would like you to do that you can do yourself. Like for instance, like when De Palma made The Untouchables, right? I mean, that's a mainstream film, but De Palma said, I know how to do that and I can do it better than anybody. And he showed he could.
Yeah.
Right. But that's a movie where his way of filmmaking and what the story needed met, and it created magic, you know. So I don't know.
Well, I've been on longer than I thought I
Okay.
would be tonight, and I think we'll just say cheerio for now, and hopefully we'll all meet again. So thank you, Cameron, Johnny, and thank you everyone in the chat.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
With certain omissions, possibly. But, it was all very enjoyable overall, to keep it positive. So thank you very much.
All right, guys. Have a good day.
You too.
All the best for now.
Take care, James.
Thanks very much, and you.
No problem.
See you in the trees.